High above the clouds sat the ancient monastery of Cloud Peak, silent and still for 1,000 years. Among its monks lived a boy named Tenzin. 10 years old, robes always crooked, eyes sparkling with mischief. His best friend Kai was always beside him. Messy black hair, curious eyes, and robes covered in leaves. Where trouble was, they were already there. One morning, while the monks chanted in the great hall, Tenzin caught an irresistible smell. Freshly made rice cakes, drifting from the kitchen. A nudge. A glance. A nod. Both boys slipped from their cushions like shadows, tiptoeing past the meditating monks. The kitchen was warm and golden. On the counter, a tray of perfect rice cakes, dusted with sesame seeds, still steaming. Tenzin grabbed 3, 1 each, and a spare. They stuffed them in their robes and ran, laughter barely contained. They burst outside and scrambled up the hill, collapsing under the old camphor tree. No one had noticed. The rice cakes were delicious. Then something strange happened. The valley mist began to move, not drifting, but parting, like a curtain pulled open by invisible hands. And there, bathed in golden light, a temple. An entire temple, floating in the air, as if gravity had forgotten about it. Golden rooftops, deep red walls, glowing windows. It was ancient, far older than anything they had ever seen. "We have to go there," Tenzin whispered. "Are you insane?" "It's floating." Tenzin grinned. "We'll find a way." Hidden behind a curtain of moss, Kai found a narrow staircase carved into the rock, each step glowing with faint blue symbols. The staircase spiraled through the clouds, each step solid despite floating in thin air. Then they were there, at the entrance of the floating temple. Inside, murals covered every wall. Monks with golden eyes, spirit creatures swirling, rivers flowing upward into the sky. In the center, a candle burned with a flame that never flickered. Beside it sat an old monk, white robes, ancient face, and eyes that glowed pure gold. He smiled, warm, but sad. "You are early," he said softly. "But then, you always were, little one." The candle blazed bright gold, flooding the temple with light. When it faded, the old monk was gone. Only the candle remained. They scrambled back down the stairs, hearts pounding. By the time they reached the camphor tree, the mist had closed. The temple had vanished. That night, Tenzin lay awake. The old monk's words echoed. "You are early. You always were." What did he mean? And why did it feel like everything was about to change?
Ever since the floating temple vanished, Tenzin couldn't focus. Even during meditation, the old monk's words haunted him. "You are early. But then, you always were, little one." Master Dorj watched from his platform. The head monk of Cloud Peak missed nothing, especially a young monk whose mind was clearly somewhere else. In the courtyard, Tenzin buzzed with restless energy. Kai tried to calm him down, but Tenzin was too wound up to listen. Master Dorj's silent footsteps caught them off guard. Both boys froze mid-sentence. "Tenzin," Master Dorj said calmly. "The morning's rice cakes have vanished." A curious mystery. Tenzin gulped, remembering every stolen bite. Master Dorj held out a bowl, filled to the brim with water. "Carry this to the highest peak. Don't spill a single drop." Tenzin grabbed the bowl. Easy. He was already planning shortcuts as he started up the mountain path. First bright idea, roll the bowl down a slope. It hit a rock, launched water everywhere, and left Tenzin completely drenched. Behind a bamboo grove, Kai watched, shaking his head. "Told you," he muttered, hiding a smile. Next trick, a rope and pulley. But a gust of wind sent the bowl swinging wildly, dumping water down the cliff face. Tenzin slumped under a camphor tree. "This is impossible." Kai stepped out. Maybe the impossible task needs a simple solution. Tenzin stared at the remaining water, then the steep path. He took a deep breath. No more tricks. Just walk. Step by step, slow and deliberate. The world faded away until nothing existed but Tenzin and the shimmering water in his hands. Unseen by Tenzin, Kai moved ahead, quietly kicking stones and clearing twigs from the path. That's what best friends do. Higher and higher he climbed, muscles burning, air thinning. Only a few drops remained in the bowl, but they were still there. He reached the summit and placed the bowl gently on a flat stone. The water, though little, was perfectly still. It hit him all at once. It was never about the water. It was about patience, focus, the journey itself. Behind him, Master Dorj appeared at the summit. Then the bowl began to glow. A soft, golden light pulsed from the water. Tenzin gasped. Something ancient had stirred within him. Tenzin looked from the glowing bowl to Master Dorj, a silent question in his eyes. Something deep inside him had shifted. Master Dorj simply smiled. He saw the spark of power, the flicker of destiny. The lesson was learned, and something more had awakened. Walking down the mountain, Tenzin was quieter than usual. Kai walked beside him in comfortable silence. The mountain had changed him. Every journey starts with a mischievous step. But this time, Tenzin's step was focused, and it opened a door he never knew existed. Since the floating temple, Tenzin's nights were haunted by golden eyes and ancient visions. During morning meditation, Tenzin's mind kept drifting to those mysteries. Kai noticed his friend wasn't fully there. Near the eastern gate, a soft whimper from the camphor trees stopped them cold. In the brush lay a small silver fox, leg twisted, formatted with blood. One eye blue, one gold, just like in Tenzin's dreams. "We have to help it." Tenzin reached out. Kai pulled him back. "We can't keep animals here. Master Dorj will." Tenzin flashed his mischievous grin. What's the worst that could happen? Together, they scooped up the fox and smuggled it inside. They hid it in an old storage room in a forgotten corner of the monastery. Dusty, cramped, and perfect. For days they visited, sharing food and rebandaging its leg. Even Kai's worry melted into quiet care. Then one afternoon, Tenzin reached to pet it, and his hand passed through empty air. The fox vanished, then reappeared beside Kai in a shimmer of light. "It's a spirit fox," Tenzin whispered. He reached out again, and this time it let him touch it. Its golden eye locked on his with ancient recognition. Once healed, the fox, now named Suki, nudged Tenzin toward the door. She had somewhere to show them. Suki led them through bamboo groves, then leapt through an invisible curtain of mist. The boys followed, into a world they never knew existed. A hidden grove, glowing with otherworldly light. Shimmering trees, glowing deer, iridescent birds, and tiny dancing sprites filled the space. Suki trotted among them, then returned to nudge Tenzin's hand. Every spirit creature turned to gaze at him, as if recognizing an old friend. Reluctantly, they left the grove. Back at the monastery, they settled Suki in the storage room, hearts full of their secret. But as they turned to leave, a shadow fell across the doorway. Master Dorj. Their secret was out. Tenzin braced for a lecture. Kai braced for worse. But Master Dorj just gazed at the fox, then at the boys, with gentle understanding. "Some bonds," Master Dorj said softly, "are older than memory itself." Then he turned and left. Tenzin looked at Kai, then at Suki. No punishment, just a cryptic glimpse into something far bigger than either of them understood. It started with one mischievous step, but compassion had opened a door to wonders Tenzin was only beginning to understand. Since meeting the spirit fox Suki, Tenzin couldn't shake the feeling that magic was everywhere, just waiting to be found. Suki's golden eye gleamed knowingly. She had something new to show him. One afternoon, the fox led them to a crumbling section of the monastery's back wall, hidden beneath ancient vines. A tiny archway led somewhere forbidden. Kai protested. Tenzin was already halfway through. Tenzin squeezed through, Kai sighing behind him. On the other side, the world transformed. A secret garden stretched before them, its plants pulsing with soft inner light. Nothing like this should exist. Impossible flowers chimed with delicate melodies, filling the air with a symphony of light and sound. At the garden's heart stood a magnificent tree, its leaves made of pure, shimmering light. The oldest monks whispered of this place, the forbidden garden, once tended by ancient ones with golden eyes. But the garden was dying. Its colors were fading, its melodies growing faint. Tenzin felt the garden's pain like a whisper in his chest, a desperate, quiet plea for help. Without thinking, He walked to the great tree and pressed his hands against its fading trunk. Warmth surged through him, echoing the glow from Master Dorj's bowl. Then, a miracle unfolded. Where his energy touched, the garden exploded back to life. Plants blazing with light, flowers bursting into song. Tenzin pulled back, thrilled but stunned. He had no idea how he'd done it. Kai stared with wide, frightened eyes. This wasn't mischief anymore. This was something terrifying. Searching for answers, Tenzin peered into a still pool of water nearby. His reflection shifted, replaced by the golden-eyed monk, smiling with quiet approval. The image rippled and vanished, leaving only Tenzin's bewildered face staring back. The revived garden pulsed around him. That reflection was a message, but what did it mean? Autumn hit Cloud Peak, and with it came the Lantern Festival. Tenzin and Kai helped the monks string up lanterns across the courtyard. Each monk would release a lantern carrying a single wish into the night sky. But Tenzin didn't want a wish. After the floating temple and the prophecy, he wanted answers about his growing powers. He found Master Dorj, who took one look at him and saw the questions burning inside. "A wish for answers, Tenzin?" Master Dorj asked. "Sometimes, the greatest wisdom lies in not knowing." He told them of a monk centuries ago who chased knowledge too hard and lost himself in the pursuit of forbidden truths. That monk chased visions and hollow prophecies until he forgot the path beneath his own feet. "Patience, young one," Master Dorj said. "The right question is more powerful than any answer hastily found." I nudged him. "You usually just wish for extra rice cakes. Try something simple before you accidentally summon a dragon." Tenzin smiled. He picked up his brush and wrote his wish, to be worthy of whatever comes. Night fell, and the monastery became a sea of glowing lanterns, their light dancing against ancient stone. One by one, the monks released their lanterns, tiny stars rising into the vast dark sky. Then Tenzin released his. It didn't just flicker. It blazed with radiant golden light, brighter than any other. Golden light flooded the courtyard. Every monk gasped, faces lit with awe. Master Dorj bowed his head with a knowing smile. He saw the flicker of destiny. Tenzin and Kai stood speechless. The golden light felt ancient, powerful, a sign of something far beyond them. That night, Tenzin lay awake. The golden glow still burned behind his eyelids. Sleep wouldn't come. Then a dream pulled him in. He floated in swirling golden mist, the same hue as his lantern. The golden-eyed monk appeared before him, ancient and serene, eyes glowing like twin suns, beckoning him forward. A vision unfolded, 22 monks with golden eyes, a lineage stretching back through centuries. Each face was different, yet familiar, and at the end of the line, Tenzin saw himself, staring back with golden eyes. He woke gasping. The truth hit like a thunderbolt. They were all him. Every last one. The journey had truly begun. Since the floating temple, Tenzin's dreams burned with golden eyes and ancient power. The world hummed with unseen energy. One afternoon, the sky above Cloud Peak began to churn with dark, swirling energy. This was no ordinary storm. Monks rushed to secure the gates, faces tight with worry. The air itself crackled with dark spiritual energy. Master Dorj led chants in the meditation hall, a steady anchor against the rising fear. But Tenzin felt pulled toward the chaos outside. He nudged Kai. "This isn't a normal storm. Something's calling me out there." Kai's eyes went wide. "You want to go into the supernatural maelstrom? This is a terrible idea." But Tenzin's awakening powers compelled him forward. Suki appeared at his side, her golden eye gleaming with urgency. The trio slipped out into the storm. The old bell tower at the monastery's edge glowed faintly in the gloom. They climbed the winding stairs as Ancient Wood groaned under the storm's assault. The air grew thick with malevolence. At the top, a shadowy ancient spirit coalesced within the storm's vortex, its eyes burning with malevolent anger. Tenzin reached for the great bronze bell, channeling the same power he'd felt in the Forbidden Garden. Let's give it a sound it won't forget. He hauled back the massive clapper, ancient energy surging through his small body. Suki's golden eye blazed. The bell didn't just ring. It unleashed a wave of pure golden energy that pulsed outward, pushing back the darkness. The dark spirit shrieked and dissolved into the clouds. The storm began to fade. The monastery was saved. But the effort was too great. Tenzin collapsed unconscious into Kai's arms, completely drained. Suki whined softly at his side. Tenzin woke 3 days later in soft morning light. Kai sat beside him, red-eyed but grinning with relief. Master Dorj stood in the doorway. That bell has not rung with such power, Tenzin, in 22 lifetimes. 22 lifetimes. The same number as the golden-eyed monks from his dream. The truth hit Tenzin like a thunderbolt. Word of the Storm Walker spread fast. The monks now looked at Tenzin with awe and trepidation, seeing not a boy but an ancient spirit. The bell tower now hummed with the memory of golden light, a silent testament to the storm that awakened Tenzin's destiny. After the storm, everything changed. The monks whispered when Tenzin passed, their eyes filled with awe and unease. Tenzin felt the weight of their expectations. He missed the days when his biggest worry was a stolen rice cake. Kai tried to cheer him up. Maybe they're just impressed you didn't turn Master Dorj into a teapot this time. But Tenzin needed to escape. We need an adventure, Kai. Somewhere nobody knows about glowing bells or prophecies. Kai sighed. An adventure, or another impossible task. But his feet were already moving. Suki appeared from thin air, nudging Tenzin forward. The storm had torn open a hidden path beneath the foliage. They pushed through the humming air and stopped cold. A bridge of glowing crystal stretched across a bottomless chasm. Each crystal was a frozen note, solidified sound. The legendary Bridge of Echoes, known only from ancient scrolls. Tenzin stepped onto the bridge. A single pure note rang out beneath his foot, deep and clear. Kai followed carefully. A lighter note chimed under his step, joining the first in fragile harmony. Deeper in, the bridge began to sing. Whispers, laughter, solemn chants. Echoes of everyone who had ever crossed. Then a playful giggle echoed back, unmistakably his own voice, saying things he'd never said. At the bridge's center, light swirled into a vortex. Time folded and warped around Tenzin. He saw himself as an adult monk, eyes full of wisdom. Then as an ancient elder, golden eyes glowing, skin mapped with 100 lifetimes. The vision snapped back to his 10-year-old self. The prophecy, the 22 lifetimes, it was all him. Kai grabbed his arm. Tenzin, come back. This is way too much adventure. Kai pulled him back to solid ground. The bridge hummed softly behind them, a silent witness. They walked back in silence. Tenzin now knew his spirit was ancient, woven through countless lives. Master Dorj waited at the gate, prayer beads in hand, wearing a knowing smile. He'd known all along. His past lives shaped him, but his choices would define him. What awaited the 23rd reincarnation next?
Once every 12 years, Cloud Peak Monastery hosted the magnificent Silver Moon Festival. Monks from distant peaks gathered under the rare, luminous moon. Tenzin and Kai watched with wide eyes as monks from 3 other monasteries arrived. Their robes were of different colors, their faces etched with travel. Among the visitors was a venerable elder monk from the eastern peak, his eyes like ancient pools of wisdom. His gaze, however, lingered on Tenzin, a spark of recognition in their depths. He sensed something ancient in the mischievous boy. Then, the elder monk issued a challenge, a grand meditation contest, to test the focus of the young monks. Tenzin, who found quiet meditation incredibly boring, immediately began plotting an escape. During the initial rounds, Tenzin's mind wandered to rice cakes and hidden paths. Kai sent him worried glances. Just try to focus on breathing, Kai whispered. Or maybe you'll accidentally turn yourself into a cushion. In the final round, Tenzin simply gave up trying to escape. He closed his eyes, and a strange calm washed over him. He fell, not into sleep, but into a deep meditation. His consciousness drifted, leaving his physical form behind. He found himself in a shimmering spirit realm, a place of soft light and glowing flora, familiar yet otherworldly. There, a magnificent silver fox with 1 blue eye and 1 gold eye, larger than Suki, appeared before him. It was Suki's mother, a powerful spirit. Her voice resonated in his mind, ancient and clear, the one who walked before you left something unfinished. You must complete it, she urged, her eyes burning with gentle intensity. Then, the vision began to fade. Tenzin slowly returned to his body, his eyes fluttering open. The meditation contest had just concluded. To his utter astonishment, Master Dorj announced the winner. Tenzin, for the deepest and most profound meditation. Tenzin had won without even trying to win. He simply let go and found something far greater. The visiting monks exchanged knowing looks, their smiles suggesting they understood more than Tenzin did. That night, Tenzin sat with Kai and Suki, the fox's golden eye gleaming. Something unfinished, Tenzin murmured. The message from Suki's mother echoed in his heart, a new mystery laid upon his ancient destiny. Ever since the Great Storm, strange occurrences flickered across Cloud Peak. Statues tilted, scrolls fluttered, as if an unseen hand played mischievous games. Tenzin and Kai, experts in mischief, knew this wasn't their doing. Suki, the spirit fox, whined softly, her golden eye fixed on unseen shadows. Then, an ancient well behind the monastery began to glow with an eerie, green light each night. Tenzin felt a familiar pull towards the mystery, a sense of unfinished business. Kai, ever cautious, tried to pull him back from the glowing abyss. But Tenzin, fueled by his awakening power, knew he had to face what lurked below. Deep within, the shadowy form of the storm walker pulsed, weakened but still malevolent. It extended tendrils of darkness, whispering promises of ultimate, unrivaled power. Tenzin saw visions, himself, a colossal figure, bending reality to his will. Just as Tenzin's hand reached out, Kai grabbed his arm, and Suki nudged his leg. Their presence reminded Tenzin of his true strength, not power, but connection. He chose compassion, extending his hand not to destroy, but to understand. A flash of memory, a vision, the shadow was once a monk, lost to fear and ambition. Tenzin's empathy softened the darkness, a gentle light beginning to purify the ancient wound. A faint whisper echoed from the well, "You are more merciful than your last self." Tenzin pondered the spirit's words, wondering about the past he couldn't quite remember. What harsh decisions had his previous incarnation made? And what did it mean for his own path? Ever since the Stormwalker, Tenzin's mischievous spirit felt a new, restless purpose. Master Dorj had watched Tenzin's awakening, sensing the time was right for a revelation. One quiet morning, he beckoned Tenzin and Kai to follow him, his expression unusually solemn. Beneath the ancient stones, a hidden passage opened to secrets of old, long forgotten. A vast, echoing library lay before them, filled with glowing scrolls from centuries past. Each scroll held the wisdom of a Cloud Peak head monk, a lineage unbroken across time. But one scroll was missing, the 22nd, from the last golden-eyed monk. Tenzin recognized the number, echoing his dream of 22 golden-eyed monks. Master Dorj explained the golden-eyed monk had vanished, leaving only mystery. "We have to find it," Tenzin declared. Kai groaned, "This is going to end with us covered in dust." They searched the monastery grounds, until Suki appeared, her golden eye gleaming with purpose. The spirit fox led them once more into the Valley of Mist, as if guided by an ancient scent. And there it was, just as before, the floating temple, emerging from the swirling mist. The luminous staircase reappeared, beckoning them up through the clouds. Within the floating temple, beside the ever-burning candle, sat the missing scroll. Tenzin gently unrolled it. The ancient script read, "To the 23rd. His predecessor's words spoke across time, "I could not finish what I started. The bridge between worlds is breaking. Only you, little one, can mend it." Tenzin looked out at the world, a colossal, ancient task now resting on his young shoulders. Since finding the lost scroll, Tenzin knew his predecessor left an unfinished task. This task led them deep into the mountain, a place whispered about only in ancient texts. Inside, the passage was dark and winding, full of strange, glowing symbols. Kai, ever cautious, wasn't thrilled about the adventure. Suddenly, the passage opened into a colossal cavern, bathed in an otherworldly light. Before them pulsed the mountain's heart, a crystalline core bridging worlds. But deep cracks marred its surface, leaking dark, wispy energy. Tenzin touched a crack, feeling the ancient pain, the task the 22nd monk couldn't finish. This is definitely worse than stolen rice cakes, Kai gulped, trying to pull him back. Tenzin knew he had to act, drawing on the immense power that had saved the monastery from the Storm Walker. He placed his hands on the heart, channeling every ounce of his awakening energy. Pain surged through him, an ancient agony trying to overwhelm his spirit. Kai, terrified but loyal, grabbed Tenzin's free hand, a silent anchor in the storm. Then, 22 golden spirits, his past lives, appeared, lending their ancient strength. A blinding surge of golden energy erupted, weaving the worlds back into harmony. The mountain's heart pulsed, whole and vibrant, its light now pure and unbroken. But the monumental effort left Tenzin drained, collapsing into Kai's arms. He woke in his dormitory, the monastery's 30 monks silently gathered around him. Master Dorj knelt, a gesture of profound respect for the young monk's ancient spirit. The secret was out. Tenzin's destiny was clear, his journey now shared by all. High above Cloud Peak, a hush fell. Today was the recognition of the reborn, a ceremony not seen in 1,000 years. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy, felt the weight of every monk's gaze. This wasn't the mischievous adventure he was used to. Master Dorj approached the altar, his face stern but kind. He prepared to reveal Tenzin's true destiny. Tenzin fidgeted. He missed stolen rice cakes and hidden paths. This ancient responsibility felt too heavy. As Master Dorj began the solemn chant, a mischievous thought sparked in Tenzin's mind. He nudged Kai. A stack of prayer flags, meant for blessings, suddenly caught a breeze and brushed against a ceremonial candle. Then, Suki, the spirit fox, darted past, a ceremonial fruit clutched playfully in her mouth, her golden eye gleaming. Master Dorj paused, his gaze sweeping over the scene. He knew Tenzin's spirit too well. He then officially pronounced Tenzin as the 23rd reincarnation of the great monk, founder of Cloud Peak. It was Tenzin's turn to speak. The weight of 22 lives settled upon him, a vast ocean of wisdom. He thought of the floating temple, the storm walker, the mountain's heart, and the many lessons he'd learned. Then, his mischievous eyes twinkled. He spoke with the wisdom of ages, yet with his own playful spirit. A monk who cannot laugh, Tenzin declared, his voice clear, has forgotten why he prays. A ripple of laughter, warm and unexpected, spread through the solemn assembly. Master Dorj smiled. Later, Tenzin caught his reflection in a still pool. The golden-eyed monk appeared, smiling back at him. Their faces merged, a silent promise passed between past and present. The connection was complete. As the sun set, Tenzin and Kai sat under their old camphor tree, sharing stolen rice cakes. Suki, the spirit fox, curled between them, her blue and gold eyes softly closed in contentment. Nothing had changed. Yet, everything had changed. The greatest journey had truly begun. But in the shadows, far beyond the valley, a subtle darkness stirred, sensing the awakening of the great monk's power. After the Great Awakening, everything changed. Monks now bowed when Tenzin passed, their faces filled with a new kind of reverence. Tenzin, however, still found mornings a challenge, preferring dreams of adventure to solemn duties. Master Dorj, ever observant, watched as Tenzin struggled with his new responsibilities, a playful spirit restless during meditation. Even leading a simple chant, Tenzin's mind would wander, his attempts often ending in a light-hearted, if inappropriate, joke. The monk's awe, once comforting, now felt like a heavy crown, a burden on his young shoulders. He confided in Kai under their old camphor tree, wishing he could just be a normal boy again, free to find mischief. Kai, ever loyal, offered a dry, comforting thought, grounding Tenzin's ancient worries in simple friendship. As evening descended upon Cloud Peak, a strange, unsettling quiet filled the air, replacing the usual peace. Suddenly, a menacing shadow emerged from the Valley of Mist, approaching the monastery's ancient walls. A hooded figure on a spectral horse rode towards the eastern gate, an ominous sight for the watchful monks. Master Dorge, his face grave, stepped forward to face the mysterious rider, his prayer beads gripped tight. The dark messenger extended a pale hand, offering Master Dorge a sealed black scroll, its surface chillingly cold. Upon its waxen seal, Tenzin could just make out the foreboding symbol of Iron Peak Monastery. Master Dorge unrolled the scroll, his wise face turning pale with deep concern as he read its contents. Tenzin and Kai exchanged worried glances, sensing the immense gravity of the message contained within. Master Dorge looked at Tenzin, his gaze solemn and filled with a profound, ancient sadness. His voice, usually warm, was now grim as he revealed the scroll's chilling implication to the young monk. "The world noticed what you did in the mountain," Master Dorge warned. "Not all who noticed are friends." Before anyone could question him, the dark messenger and its spectral horse dissolved into thin air, leaving only an eerie silence. Tenzin and Kai stared at the empty space, a chilling silence now permeating the once peaceful monastery. Master Dorge watched the spot where the messenger vanished, his expression deeply troubled by the looming threat. Ever since the Great Awakening, Tenzin's mischievous spirit felt restless under the weight of his new title and the monk's watchful eyes. Beneath Cloud Peak's serene facade, a subtle unease lingered after the dark message from Iron Peak, hinting at threats unseen. Then, 3 dark figures emerged from the Valley of Mist, their forms stark against the gentle morning light of Cloud Peak. Master Dorge met them at the eastern gate, his stern face showing quiet resolve against the encroaching shadow. Among them stood Kira, a 12-year-old girl, her sharp black eyes holding a cold, focused power Tenzin had never witnessed. She surveyed Cloud Peak's peaceful courtyard with disdain, her gaze lingering dismissively on Tenzin's small, robed form. Tenzin, never one to back down, puffed out his chest. "I am the 23rd Great Monk." A challenge was issued, a demonstration of spiritual strength in the monastery's ancient training courtyard, drawing an eager crowd. Tenzin, fueled by his recent triumphs, entered the sparring circle with his usual mischievous grin and boundless confidence. Kira, however, moved with an unsettling calm, her movements precise and her dark energy contained, like a coiled viper. The clash began, Tenzin's golden energy meeting Kira's sharp, aggressive power with an audible, chilling crackle. Kira unleashed a swift, shadowy strike, a technique Tenzin had never seen, drawing power from something ancient and cold. Effortlessly, Tenzin was thrown back, landing hard on the ancient stones, his golden light momentarily extinguished, utterly humiliated. Kai rushed to his fallen friend, worry etched deep on his face, helping Tenzin to his feet, a loyal anchor. Kira stood over them, impassive. "Sentiment is a liability," she stated, her voice clipped and devoid of warmth. While Tenzin smarted, Kai's observant eyes noticed something unsettling on the ancient training stones where Kira had struck. Deep black marks marred the stone, a chilling cold radiating from them, a stark contrast to Cloud Peak's warm energy. Humiliation burned, but as Tenzin looked at Kira, a new resolve sparked in his mischievous eyes, a fire rekindled. With a final, unsettling glance, Kira and her disciples departed, dissolving back into the swirling mist from which they came. Kai pointed at the dark marks. Her power felt wrong, Tenzin. Colder than the Valley of Mist itself. Master Dorge approached, his voice grim. The darkness they wield, Tenzin, feeds on more than just discipline. After his defeat by Kira, Tenzin felt the sting of humiliation, his mischievous spirit restless under his new title. Kai, ever loyal, tried to ground his friend, reminding him of stolen rice cakes and simpler times. Stung but determined, Tenzin decided to uncover the secrets of Iron Peak's power, fueled by a familiar sense of mischief. Suki, the spirit fox, appeared, her golden eye gleaming with purpose, guiding them toward the encroaching darkness. They slipped from Cloud Peak's serene walls, following the faint trail of Iron Peak disciples into the night. Beyond the monastery, in a desolate clearing, the Iron Peak disciples gathered under a pale moon. Kira and her companions began a chilling ritual, drawing dark spiritual energy from the very earth beneath them. With each pulse of stolen power, the once vibrant grass withered and the nearby trees grew stark and lifeless. Tenzin watched in horror, understanding the grim cost of such a corrupted power. Kai pulled Tenzin back further, a worried whisper escaping his lips, fearing this dark display. Suddenly, Kira's sharp gaze pierced the darkness, revealing their hidden presence. She stepped forward, confronting Tenzin and Kai, her voice clipped and precise. "Your power is a gift you never earned," Kira challenged, her voice cold. "Mine, I took with my own hands." Tenzin, remembering the mountain's heart, firmly declared that true power must protect, not destroy. Kira scoffed, asserting that power's ultimate purpose was liberation, to overcome weakness by any means. Their heated exchange was interrupted by the sudden, calm presence of Master Dorge, emerging from the shadows. With quiet authority, Master Dorge instructed the Iron Peak disciples to depart, their dark rituals unwelcome here. As Kira turned to leave, she locked eyes with Tenzin, a chilling warning in her gaze. "Your monastery sits on something precious," she stated, her voice echoing in the night. "Others will come for it, far less polite than us." Tenzin and Kai stood in stunned silence, the ominous words hanging heavy in the cool night air. Master Dorge watched the departing shadows, his face etched with a deep, ancient concern for what was to come. After Iron Peak's chilling warning, an unsettling quiet fell upon Cloud Peak. But soon, a new, more primal fear began to spread. Animals in the forest around the monastery grew frantic. Birds flew in confused circles, deer scattered in silent panic. Even Suki, the brave spirit fox, whimpered softly, her golden eye fixed on the forest's edge, refusing to enter certain areas. Tenzin, ever curious and restless, couldn't ignore the forest's distress. He nudged Kai. "Something's truly wrong, let's go." Kai, ever cautious, sighed. "This is a terrible idea. Last time we went exploring, we almost got eaten by a storm spirit." Despite her fear, Suki led them deeper into the woods, her golden eye gleaming with an urgent, unspoken warning. Then, they saw it, a shimmering tear in the air, like shattered glass, hanging impossibly among the trees. Dark, wispy mist seeped through the crack, chilling the air and twisting the leaves nearby into withered forms. Tenzin, compelled by his awakening power, reached out to touch the crack, feeling an ancient, unnatural cold. Deeper in, they found a colossal, gaping fissure, twisting reality itself, bleeding dark energy into their world. From the swirling darkness, a formless, hungry shadow creature coalesced, its countless dim eyes blinking into existence. Drawn to Tenzin's spiritual energy, the creature lunged, a silent scream of ancient hunger echoing in their minds. Tenzin, remembering the mountain's heart, channeled his golden power, a radiant light against the encroaching shadow. The golden light pulsed outwards, striking the creature, which shrieked silently and recoiled, dissolving partially into the mist. But from smaller cracks nearby, more shadow creatures emerged, their hungry forms filling the darkening forest. "There are too many," Kai yelled, grabbing Tenzin. "We have to go, now." They fled, Suki leading the way, weaving frantically through the ancient trees as shadows pursued them through the mist. Breathless and shaken, they burst back into the monastery courtyard, the peaceful stone a welcome sight. Master Dorge stood waiting, his face grave, prayer beads clutched in hand. He already knew. The sealing of the mountain's heart, Master Dorge explained, was but a temporary balm. The true wound runs deeper. The worlds, he revealed, were bleeding into one another. The cracks were spreading, and the darkness was hungry. Tenzin looked out at the forest, the weight of a fracturing world now resting heavily on his young shoulders. After the cracks appeared, the world around Cloud Peak grew restless. The spiritual wounds deepened, tearing at reality's fabric. Monks gathered, chanting ancient barrier prayers, their collective energy a fragile shield against the encroaching darkness. But the cracks multiplied, too many to mend, too vast to ignore. Each day, the protective barriers weakened. Suki, the spirit fox, sensed the escalating danger. Her usually playful nature replaced by a constant, uneasy vigilance. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, felt the world's weight on his young shoulders, his spirit restless. Then, soft at first, like a breeze through dry leaves, Tenzin began to hear whispers. A voice from the cracks. It called his name, an ancient, vast presence. 23 times you have tried. 23 times you will fail. The constant whispers made Tenzin withdrawn and irritable, his usual playful spirit dampened by the unseen burden. Kai, 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, noticed the change, his worry growing with each passing day. Suki, the spirit fox, stayed pressed against Tenzin constantly, as if shielding him from the invisible onslaught of the whispers. Are you even listening, Tenzin? Kai asked. Tenzin snapped back, it's just noise, Kai. Leave me alone. One night, the whispers grew too strong. Tenzin rose from his bed, his eyes glazed, drawn by an unseen force. He sleepwalked towards the forest, towards the largest crack, the source of the insidious, ancient call. Kai, 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, woke with a start, sensing Tenzin's absence. Suki, the spirit fox, had already darted out, a silver blur attempting to block Tenzin's path, whining frantically. Kai, 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, caught up, grabbing Tenzin's arm just as he neared the precipice. Tenzin struggled, his body pulling towards the crack, his eyes still glazed with the dark call. For one terrible moment, as Kai fought to hold him, Tenzin peered into the deepest crack. And inside, countless dim eyes stared back, shifting and blinking within the formless shadow. The Void Walker. Tenzin gasped, snapping awake, a scream caught in his throat. He stared, terrified, at the empty air. Since the cracks appeared, the forest hummed with unease. Suki, the small silver fox, felt it most keenly, her golden eye fixed on the encroaching shadows. Compelled by instinct, the spirit fox slipped silently into the woods, drawn towards the very heart of the growing spiritual wound. Back at Cloud Peak, Tenzin, a 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, and Kai, a 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, suddenly realized Suki was gone. Tenzin's heart pounded. He knew Suki would never wander far without a reason. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced his mischievous spirit. Suki! Suki! Tenzin called, his voice echoing through the quiet forest. Each unanswered call amplified his growing terror. Kai, a 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, found faint silver fur caught on a branch, leading directly towards the widest crack Tenzin had seen. Deep within the fractured woods, they found her. Suki lay tangled in a web of dark, shadowy energy, barely conscious, her spirit light fading. Shadow creatures, their dim eyes blinking, fed on her essence. Tenzin, a 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, felt a primal fury ignite within him. Seeing his companion, his loyal spirit fox, in such pain, Tenzin's golden power erupted, uncontrolled and terrifying. The shadow creatures shrieked silently, dissolving into nothingness. But Tenzin's rage didn't stop there. Trees shattered, their ancient trunks exploding into splinters. The very ground beneath him cracked and buckled, scorched by raw golden power. For a terrifying moment, the destructive force radiating from Tenzin, a 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, rivaled the darkness he had just fought. Kai, a 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, burst through the ravaged trees, his face a mix of horror and fear. Tenzin! Stop! Kai yelled, his voice cutting through the roar of uncontrolled power, a desperate plea to his best friend. Kai's voice, a familiar anchor, broke through the rage. Tenzin's golden light flickered, then receded, leaving him breathless and trembling. Kai, a 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, knelt beside him, his voice quiet but firm. "You almost became what you were fighting, Tenzin." Tenzin, a 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, looked at the devastation. The realization hit him with chilling force: the darkness wasn't only outside. It was a potential within him, a destructive force capable of immense harm when fueled by anger. The forest, a silent witness, bore the scars of Tenzin's fury. The path ahead was now shadowed by his own internal struggle. The 23rd Great Monk had saved his friend, but discovered a new, more personal darkness that would test his spirit to its core. After Tenzin's uncontrolled fury, Cloud Peak's peace felt fragile, the air still humming with unseen power. Suddenly, the ground beneath the monastery shuddered violently, rattling ancient stones and awakening deep fear. Between Cloud Peak and a distant, jagged mountain, a colossal crack ripped open the sky, bleeding darkness. From the gaping wound, shadow creatures poured forth, more numerous and menacing than any Tenzin had faced. Master Dorge, his face grave, rallied the monks, preparing Cloud Peak for an imminent, terrifying defense. Tenzin and Kai watched the encroaching horde, fear mixing with a new, urgent resolve in Tenzin's eyes. Suddenly, a lone figure stumbled through the swirling mist towards the eastern gate, battered and exhausted. It was Kira, her dark blue robes tattered, but her sharp black eye still burned with fierce determination. Master Dorge met her, cautious. Kira explained Iron Peak was under attack, and Master Iron had sent her away. Master Iron, twisted by dark power, had insisted he could handle the threat alone, through forbidden means. Tenzin, remembering her coldness, initially eyed Kira with suspicion, surprised by her sudden appearance. "Your monastery is next," Kira stated, her voice clipped. "We need to close this, together." Despite their differences, Tenzin and Kira stood side by side, preparing to face the crack and its shadows. Tenzin channeled his golden warmth, a radiant aura pulsing around him, echoing the mountain's heart. Kira unleashed her sharp, cold blue energy, precise and cutting, a stark contrast to Tenzin's light. Their powers clashed, then intertwined, golden light and blue energy weaving into a powerful, swirling vortex of wonder. The combined energy struck the massive crack, which shimmered, then slowly began to mend, closing the wound in the sky. Shadow creatures shrieked silently, dissipating into nothingness as the powerful seal took hold. Exhausted, Tenzin and Kira collapsed onto the monastery steps, Suki nudging them with quiet comfort. Kira, grudgingly, admitted, "You're not as weak as I thought." Tenzin grinned, "You're not as mean as you pretend." Master Dorge observed them, a thoughtful, knowing look on his face, understanding the power of unity. Far in the distance, Iron Peak remained shrouded in unnaturally dark, swirling clouds, an ominous red glow pulsing within. After their unexpected alliance, Kira remained at Cloud Peak, the path to Iron Peak now swarming with shadow creatures. She was stranded among the gentle monks, a sharp contrast to her harsh training at Iron Peak. Over shared meals and quiet evenings, Kira slowly began to open up to Tenzin and Kai. Tenzin, ever impulsive, tried to bridge the gap with his usual playful spirit. Kai, always observant, noticed the subtle shifts in her guarded demeanor. One evening, her voice low, Kira revealed Iron Peak's terrible secret. Master Iron had discovered an ancient, forbidden technique to draw power directly from the barrier between worlds. This power made his monks formidable, but it had been weakening the barrier for years, tearing holes in reality. "The cracks," Kira explained, "aren't just from your mountain's heart. Iron Peak's greed for power caused most of them." She had been raised to believe this was strength, but Cloud Peak's warmth and compassion now confused her. Tenzin and Kai exchanged grave glances, the weight of this new truth settling upon them. Later, Kira challenged Tenzin to a friendly sparring match, a different kind of test. This time, there was no hostility, only a mutual respect for each other's power. golden light and blue energy danced, a captivating display of balance and strength. They were evenly matched, a testament to Tenzin's growth and Kira's quiet mastery. Suki, fully recovered, watched the sparring with her knowing golden eye. After the match, the spirit fox did something unexpected. She curled up next to Kira. Kira tried to pretend she didn't care, but a faint, genuine smile touched her lips. The bond between them, though new, seemed to hold a promise of hope against the growing darkness. But far away, shrouded in perpetual storm clouds, Iron Peak pulsed with an ominous red glow. The Void Walker, an ancient entity of suffering, was growing stronger, feeding on the very wounds Master Iron created. The alliance with Kira brought a fragile peace, but a new, deeper unease settled over Cloud Peak. Master Dorge sensed the world holding its breath, anticipating a greater tremor. Tenzin, 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, despite the recent alliance, felt a familiar pull towards the unknown, his mischief now tinged with destiny. Kai, 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, ever observant, noticed the subtle shivers in the air, a spiritual cold he hadn't felt since the whispers began. Kira, 12-year-old girl with sharp black eyes, pale skin, dark blue robes with silver trim, hair in tight braid, stood vigilant, her senses honed by Iron Peak's harsh training. Suddenly, the tranquil air of the Valley of Mist was shattered as a colossal crack ripped open the very fabric of the sky, directly below the floating temple's usual spot. The monks gasped, their chanting faltering as the terrifying rupture pulsed with an ancient, hungry void. From the gaping wound, something emerged that was not a creature, but an absence, a formless shadow with countless dim, shifting eyes. Whispers, chilling and ancient, echoed in every mind simultaneously, a voice from the space between worlds, just as Tenzin had heard before. "I am the wound you made," the terrifying entity whispered. "I am the space between your worlds. And I am hungry." The Void Walker did not attack, it merely fed. Where its shadow fell, color drained, sound muted, and warmth died. Tenzin, 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, remembering the mountain's heart, felt a surge of golden power, a desperate urge to protect his home. Kira, 12-year-old girl with sharp black eyes, pale skin, dark blue robes with silver trim, hair in tight braid, her face grim, unleashed her sharp blue energy, a precise strike aimed at the heart of the shadow. Kai, 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, ever the loyal anchor, stood ready despite his profound fear. "I knew this would end with a hungry shadow," he muttered. The monks of Cloud Peak, led by Master Dorge, joined their chants, their collective spiritual energy a powerful wave against the encroaching darkness. Their combined power, a beacon of hope, merely rippled against the vast entity, seemingly amusing it. With a final, chilling whisper that echoed a "not yet," the Void Walker began to dissipate, retreating back into the colossal crack. But as it vanished, a searing black energy scorched the monastery courtyard stones, forming an ominous message. "I have waited 1,000 years, little monk. I can wait a little longer," it read, a chilling promise of future confrontation. Master Dorge, shaken to his core, turned to Tenzin, his wise eyes now filled with a profound, ancient sadness. "This," he stated gravely, "is the true enemy, Tenzin. Not Iron Peak, not the shadow creatures, but the Void Walker itself. It is the ancient wound between worlds, given form. And force alone will not defeat it." The weight of this ancient, unyielding enemy settled upon Tenzin's young shoulders, a challenge far beyond any mischief. After facing the Void Walker, Master Dorge revealed a deeper truth: the mountain's heart was just one of many spirit gates. These ancient barriers, created by the first great monk, separated the physical and spirit worlds, but now they were failing. The main spirit gate, the original barrier, lay 3 days' journey away, deep within the fractured mountains, deteriorating fast. "We have to go," Tenzin declared, his mischievous eyes now burning with a new, urgent purpose. Kai, ever cautious, nudged Tenzin. "This is a terrible idea. We almost summoned a storm spirit last time." Kira, ever pragmatic, simply stated, the sooner we leave, the sooner we return. Let's go. Their journey began, a winding path through forests where vibrant flora gave way to strange, shimmering mists. Reality shifted unpredictably, with mirages of spirit creatures bleeding through the veil, a breathtaking yet unsettling sight. Suddenly, a shadow creature lunged, its dim eyes blinking from the swirling darkness, forcing the team into action. Tenzin instinctively unleashed a golden burst, while Kira's precise blue energy sliced through the shadow, driving it back. "This is definitely worse than stolen rice cakes," Kai muttered, deftly dodging a spectral tendril while Suki nipped at its heels. As night fell, they camped beneath a sky shimmering with faint spirit lights, the crumbling gate now just a day away. Finally, they reached it, the main spirit gate, a colossal crystalline archway, once radiant, now dark and crumbling. Tenzin approached, feeling the ancient pain of the barrier, the weight of the first great monk's original wound. As his fingers touched the cold crystal, a blinding golden light erupted, pulling Tenzin into a dizzying vision. Before him appeared echoes of his past lives, all 22 golden-eyed monks, shimmering in the golden mist. Each incarnation demonstrated a different spiritual technique, a forgotten skill, a piece of ancient wisdom meant for him. Tenzin absorbed fragmented knowledge, a torrent of power and insight, but it was overwhelming, too much for his young mind. The immense wisdom of his ancestors threatened to consume him, and Tenzin collapsed, lost in the overwhelming echoes of the past. After the dizzying visions of his past lives, Tenzin spent days at the ancient spirit gate, meditating deeply. The torrent of ancient knowledge, of 22 lifetimes, was overwhelming, almost too much for his young mind to grasp. Kira, the 12-year-old girl with sharp black eyes, pale skin, dark blue robes with silver trim, hair in tight braid, watched skeptically, yet a grudging respect flickered in her gaze. Kai, the 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, meticulously documented everything in his journal, noticing hidden patterns in the ancient techniques. He realized each ability built upon the last, like steps on a ladder. "Tenzin," Kai whispered, "they're not random visions, they're a sequence." Tenzin closed his eyes, then opened them, activating his first new ability, Spirit Sight. The world shimmered with hidden spirits. Next, he practiced energy weaving, shaping spiritual energy into shimmering, golden barriers, a powerful protection against the encroaching darkness. Finally, echo speech. Tenzin spoke to a faint spirit. A soft, ancient whisper responded, a conversation between realms. With each new mastery, Tenzin felt a surge of confidence. His mischievous grin returned, now mixed with profound purpose. But the ancient spirit gate continued to crumble. More cracks appeared, pulsing with dark energy, a desperate call for help. "We have to try something," Tenzin declared, outlining a daring plan to use his new skills with Kira's sharp energy. "This is a terrible idea," Kai muttered, but he dutifully pointed out weak spots as Tenzin and Kira channeled their powers. Golden light and sharp blue energy intertwined, weaving into a complex spiritual repair, a bridge across the fractured crystal. The gate pulsed, its light flickering, then stabilizing. It held, but barely, a fragile patch on a profound wound. Exhausted, the trio collapsed, relief washing over them. Their combined effort had saved it, for now. Then, an unsettling silence fell, deeper than any they had known. A chilling cold swept through the cavern, raising the hairs on their necks. A vast, ancient presence. The Void Walker. It was watching them from the other side, pressing against the barrier. A formless shadow pressed against the mended gate, testing its strength, countless dim eyes shifting within its depths. The repair held, for now. But the Void Walker was growing impatient. Time, the trio realized, was rapidly running out. Tenzin looked at the barely holding gate, his mischievous eyes now filled with deep worry, and a fierce, unyielding resolve. After weeks of perilous journey, Tenzin, Kai, and Kira returned to Cloud Peak. But the monastery was shrouded in an unnatural, suffocating gloom. The Voidwalker had launched its first direct attack, a vast, formless shadow entity surrounding Cloud Peak and draining its very essence. Monks collapsed from spiritual exhaustion, their ancient chants weakening. Master Dorj, alone, struggled to hold a fragile golden barrier. Tenzin felt the monastery's pain, the weight of his destiny heavy on his young shoulders. He knew he had to act, now. Activating his spirit sight, Tenzin peered beyond the formless shadow, searching for the Voidwalker's vulnerable core. With energy weaving, he began to form shimmering golden shields, reinforcing Master Dorj's failing defenses. Kai, ever the loyal friend, stood by Tenzin, his small hands glowing with faint protective energy. "This is a terrible idea," he mumbled, "but you always get us out of them." Kira unleashed her sharp blue energy, creating precise, cutting strikes that tore through smaller tendrils of the Voidwalker's darkness. Tenzin used echo speech, calling upon Cloud Peak's past protectors. 22 golden spirits rose, lending their strength to the defense. Golden light, blue energy, ancient chants, and the desperate courage of a boy monk woven together against the encroaching void. The Voidwalker shrieked silently as the combined power struck its core, a desperate, agonizing scream from the space between worlds. Barely repelled, the vast shadow entity recoiled, retreating slowly, melting back into the Valley of Mist. The monastery was saved, for now. The monastery was damaged, its ancient stones scorched, its monks injured and deeply shaken. The protective barrier was weaker than ever. Master Dorj surveyed the devastation, his wise eyes filled with a profound, ancient sadness. The true war had begun. Kira knelt, removing the insignia of Iron Peak from her tattered robes. She dropped it on the ground, a definitive choice made. "I'm not going back," Kira declared. "Master Iron taught us to take power. But the Voidwalker takes power too, and I've seen where that leads." Her voice grim, Kira warned them, "This is just the beginning. The Voidwalker has been planning this for 1,000 years. It won't stop until the barrier falls completely." As the sun set, Cloud Peak stood scarred. But far beyond its walls, new cracks began to spread across the mountains, like a dark, intricate web. Each crack glowed with an ominous, purple-black energy, tearing at the fabric of reality. The world was bleeding. The Voidwalker's first strike had revealed a terrifying truth: the entire world's spiritual barrier was failing. Cloud Peak still bore the scars of the Voidwalker's first strike, but a deeper unease now settled upon its ancient stones. Across the valley, messenger birds arrived, carrying scrolls from distant monasteries, their flight unusually frantic. Master Dorj unrolled each scroll, his wise face growing graver with every urgent message. The reports were dire: spirit gates across the world were crumbling simultaneously. Master Dorj turned to Tenzin, his gaze heavy with the world's fate. Cloud Peak could not save the world alone. Tenzin, remembering the mountain's heart and the Voidwalker, knew his destiny called beyond these walls. Kai, ever loyal despite his worry, stepped forward. "This is a terrible idea," he muttered, "but you're terrible at going alone." Kira, having renounced Iron Peak, stepped beside them. Sentiment is a liability, but so is letting the world fall apart. Suki, the spirit fox, nudged Tenzin's hand, her golden eye gleaming with silent agreement and fierce loyalty. Preparations were swift. Kai meticulously packed supplies while Tenzin tried to sneak extra rice cakes. Master Dorj met them at the eastern gate, his stern face softened by a quiet, ancient pride. For the first time, Tenzin turned his back on the only home he had ever known, a profound moment of hesitation. Kai gently took Tenzin's hand, a silent anchor amidst the overwhelming uncertainty of the vast world below. Kira rolled her eyes at their sentiment, but waited patiently, a reluctant guardian already forming. They began their descent, leaving the familiar cloud-shrouded peaks behind, stepping into the unknown. The world below the clouds unfurled, a breathtaking tapestry of vibrant forests and sprawling rivers, far grander than they imagined. But even here, far from Cloud Peak, an ominous shimmer in the distant air hinted at the fractured realms. Their first destination, the Desert of Echoes, where the desert gate was failing, beckoning them towards its shimmering sands. Leaving Cloud Peak behind, Tenzin and his friends began their journey into the world beyond the clouds, a vast tapestry. Their path led them through lowland villages, vibrant but subtly changed by the failing spiritual barriers. Near the fractured spiritual cracks, crops withered, their life force slowly draining away into the air. Livestock huddled together, unnaturally quiet, sensing the encroaching disharmony from between realms. Villagers spoke in hushed tones of shadow creatures, appearing at night to steal their peace and livestock. Tenzin, remembering the mountain's heart, used his spirit sight and energy weaving, helping to seal small cracks. He calmed frightened spirits, whispering words of ancient comfort to those caught between the fractured realms. Kira, used to Iron Peak's harshness, found herself deeply uncomfortable among these kind, open strangers. As dusk approached, a village family, seeing their work, offered the weary travelers food and shelter. Around a simple hearth, they shared a meal, the warmth of human connection filling the small home. Kira, who had known only competition and fear, was visibly moved by their selfless kindness. Meanwhile, Kai meticulously mapped their route, using ancient monastery scrolls to guide their path. His sharp eye for detail and logical mind proved invaluable, a compass in a fracturing world. That night, as the village slept, the Voidwalker's insidious whispers found Tenzin, even far from Cloud Peak. "You cannot outrun me, little monk," the ancient voice echoed in his mind. "I am everywhere the barrier is thin." But this time, Tenzin did not flinch. He had learned from his past struggles with fear and doubt. He understood that inner strength was his true shield, not just golden energy and ancient abilities. Suki, curled at his feet, whined softly, her golden eye gleaming open, ever vigilant against the unseen threat. Their path now led them to the edge of the known world, where shimmering sands promised new challenges. The Voidwalker's whispers, though distant, followed them, a chilling reminder of the looming war. Leaving the fertile lowlands behind, Tenzin and his friends entered a new realm, where the very air shimmered with an ancient, unsettling energy. This was the Desert of Echoes, a vast expanse where reality itself felt thin, constantly shifting like the dunes beneath their feet. Here, mirages were no mere illusions. They were glimpses of the spirit world, bleeding through the fragile veil between realms. Tenzin activated his spirit sight, a gift from his ancestors, and saw the desert not as one world, but many layers shimmering atop each other. "These aren't just mirages," Kai observed, ever logical. "The spirit world is literally stacked on top of ours here." Suddenly, a translucent deer spirit, lost and disoriented, flickered in and out of view, trapped between the fractured realms. Tenzin felt the spirit's pain, its desperate longing for its true home. It was a silent plea, mirroring his own destiny to mend the worlds. He remembered the wisdom of his ancestors and instinctively knew how to guide it, by creating a small bridge back to its realm. With a surge of energy, Tenzin opened a shimmering portal. The deer, sensing its true home, gracefully stepped through and vanished. "You look like you just ran a marathon, Tenzin," Kai noted, ever observant of his friend's well-being. "Each portal costs you, doesn't it?" Further on, they encountered a more aggressive spirit creature, lashing out with shadowy tendrils, lost and frightened in the interrealm space. Tenzin, remembering his lesson from the fox and the fury, chose compassion over force, trying to soothe its fear with gentle golden energy. He opened another portal, guiding the frightened spirit through. The effort left him staggering, utterly exhausted. "A costly method," Kira remarked, her voice clipped, yet a flicker of grudging respect softened her sharp eyes. "But effective." The desert winds here carried whispers, not of sand, but of the past and glimpses of the future, echoing through the thin reality. Tenzin realized the path forward often required helping those who could not ask for help, a quiet, draining compassion. As the twin suns began to set, casting long, golden shadows, Suki's golden eye fixed on a shimmering point in the far distance. The desert gate. Their destination was finally in sight, a beacon of hope amidst the vast, echoing sands. But as they watched, a faint, chilling whisper rode the wind, seeming to come from the gate itself. "Soon, all will be undone." The Voidwalker was already here, watching them. The desert gate awaited, a new, perilous challenge in the heart of the fractured realms. After days traversing shimmering dunes, the trio finally spotted it, the ancient desert gate, half buried in sand. This spirit gate, like the mountain's heart, pulsed with unstable energy, bleeding dark power into the world. Shadow creatures, drawn by the leaking power, swarmed around the gate like hungry desert locusts. Tenzin, remembering the Void Walker's first strike, knew they had to act quickly, his spirit burning with resolve. Golden energy surged from Tenzin, pushing back the encroaching shadows, a beacon of light in the dimming desert. Kira, ever precise, unleashed sharp blue energy, slicing through the attacking entities with deadly accuracy. Kai, surprisingly nimble, used his staff with newfound skill, deflecting shadow tendrils with swift, practiced movements. Suki, the spirit fox, darted through the shadows, biting at the creature's wispy forms, a silver blur of loyalty. After clearing the immediate threat, Tenzin placed his hands on the crumbling desert gate, channeling golden energy. But this gate was different, the desert's ancient spirit resisted the direct repair, shaking his focus. "It's fighting you, Tenzin," Kira observed, her sharp eyes scanning the shifting sands. "Like the desert itself rejects it." Instead of forcing it, Kira suggested, a flicker of insight in her eyes, let the desert's natural energy flow through. Tenzin closed his eyes, sensing the ancient currents of the desert, its subtle power and patient wisdom. Together, they attuned their energy to the desert, Tenzin's golden warmth blending with Kira's sharp blue precision. Kai, using his keen eye, guided their focus to the subtle flows, ensuring their new seal breathed with the land. A shimmering, vibrant energy spread, not fighting the cracks, but gently weaving the desert spirit into the gate. The desert gate pulsed, then shone with pure, steady light, stabilized by harmony, not force. One gate down, but the monumental effort left the team utterly drained, collapsing onto the warm sands. That night, under a sky ablaze with countless stars, they shared a simple meal, stories, and the quiet comfort of friendship. Kai, ever a worrier, tried a joke about desert scorpions and stolen rice cakes, earning a rare, genuine laugh from Kira. But as dawn approached, Suki's golden eye fixed on the horizon, sensing the next journey, the distant Ocean Monastery. Leaving the desert of echoes, Tenzin, Kai, and Kira followed ancient maps towards the distant, churning coast. After days, the landscape opened to reveal a chain of rocky islands, lashed by relentless waves and swirling sea mist. Perched precariously on these islands was the Ocean Monastery, a testament to the resilience of those who called it home. The monks of this place were hardy seafarers, their faces weathered by salt and wind, their spirits as vast as the ocean itself. Among them was Elder Marina, an ancient woman whose fierce, kind eyes held the wisdom of countless tides. She greeted the young travelers, her voice like the soothing murmur of waves, yet carrying an ancient strength. Marina shared grave news. The underwater spirit gate was in chaos, its instability causing immense suffering. A massive sea dragon spirit, a benevolent guardian for centuries, was now going berserk, driven mad by constant agony. Tenzin watched the sea churn with the dragon's rage, understanding the pain of a spiritual wound, much like the mountain's heart. The dragon's furious attacks made reaching the gate impossible, its agony a barrier to its own salvation. "The dragon isn't evil," Elder Marina stated, her voice heavy with sorrow. "It's in agony. But its agony will drown us all if we don't act," she warned, looking from the sea to Tenzin, a silent plea in her eyes. Tenzin remembered his choice in the shadow in the well, understanding suffering was the first step to healing it. He opened his eyes, a new resolve shining through his mischievous gaze. "This isn't a battle," Tenzin declared, "it's a rescue." Kai, ever the worrier, gulped. "A rescue? Of a giant, angry spirit dragon? This is definitely worse than stolen rice cakes." Kira, ever pragmatic, raised an eyebrow. "Sentiment is a liability, Tenzin. But a suffering dragon makes a terrible guardian." Tenzin watched the tumultuous waves, his focus already on the immense task below, the ancient spirit gate and its suffering guardian. Suki appeared at his side, her golden eye gleaming with understanding and fierce loyalty, ready to follow him anywhere. The team began preparations, donning specialized gear for the journey into the ocean's depths, towards the enraged dragon. Below the surface, in the crushing darkness, the massive sea dragon writhed, its pained roars echoing through the deep, desperate for release. The Ocean Monastery, battered by waves, held a new, urgent task. Elder Marina spoke of a suffering sea dragon. This benevolent spirit, driven mad by the crumbling underwater spirit gate, raged below, its agony a barrier to salvation. Elder Marina, her voice like the soothing murmur of waves, taught Tenzin an ancient breathing technique for the deep. Surrounded by a bubble of shimmering golden energy, Tenzin plunged into the ocean's crushing darkness. On the surface, Kai and Kira waited anxiously, Suki nervously pacing, ready to help in any way they could. Below, the sea dragon writhed, its colossal form illuminated by the faint, chaotic pulses from the crumbling ocean gate. The gate's instability sent agonizing electric shocks through the benevolent spirit, driving its fury. Tenzin remembered the shadow spirit in the well, Episode 9, compassion could heal where force could not. He approached slowly, using echo speech, Episode 23, projecting calmness towards the enraged beast. The dragon, blinded by agony, lashed out, its massive tail nearly crushing Tenzin. But Tenzin persisted, knowing he must first understand the dragon's suffering, not fight it. A surge of ancient pain overwhelmed him, the dragon's agony briefly becoming his own. He held steady, a silent anchor in the sea of anguish, and slowly, the dragon began to calm. Free from pain, the sea dragon channeled its immense power through Tenzin's golden energy. Together, boy and dragon sealed the ocean gate, weaving its spirit into the land, Episode 28, with pure, steady light. Free from its suffering, the magnificent sea dragon rose, a benevolent ally, its light now peaceful. It surfaced alongside Tenzin, breaking the waves in a majestic spray, its ancient eyes filled with gratitude. Elder Marina, her face streaked with tears, watched the powerful, peaceful guardian overcome with awe and relief. Sharing someone's pain is braver than fighting them, Tenzin mused, exhausted but content on the shore. 2 gates were secured. But far from their peaceful shore, other cracks still bled, and the Voidwalker watched. Leaving the Ocean Monastery, Tenzin, Kai, and Kira continued their journey, pushing deeper into the fractured realms. As night fell, a new and unsettling disturbance began to plague their journey. Kira's sleep was no longer peaceful. Suddenly, a scream tore through the night. Kira thrashed awake, dark blue energy crackling wildly around her, nearly striking Kai. Kai scrambled back, shaking. Tenzin rushed to her side, but Kira, pale and breathless, vehemently refused to speak of her nightmare. Days passed, but Kira's violent nightmares worsened, leaving her withdrawn and haunted by unseen terrors. Tenzin watched his friend with growing concern. Even Suki whined softly, her golden eye fixed on Kira with knowing apprehension. That night, Tenzin used his spirit sight. He saw a chilling truth: dark energy from Iron Peak was poisoning Kira's very soul. It was a leash, Tenzin realized, woven into Master Iron's training, meant to control students who grew too independent. The more powerful they became, the tighter the dark energy would bind them, a cruel, invisible tether to Iron Peak. Kira's nightmare pulled Tenzin into her past. A 5-year-old orphan, found by Iron Peak monks, alone in a cold, stark world. Her childhood was a blur of isolation, fear, and brutal training, designed to harden her spirit. Punishment was swift for any perceived weakness. Compassion was a liability, fear a powerful motivator. Only one fellow student showed her kindness, a fleeting warmth in the relentless chill of Iron Peak. But when he questioned Master Iron's methods, he vanished, teaching Kira to bury her pain deep beneath layers of control. Back in the present, Kira's nightmare peaked. She cried out, dark energy erupting, threatening to consume her. Tenzin, remembering his own struggles within a darkness, rushed forward, placing his hand gently on her shoulder. "You don't have to carry this alone," Tenzin whispered, his voice warm and steady, offering solace. Kira broke down, sobbing for the first time in front of anyone, releasing decades of buried pain as Kai and Suki offered quiet comfort. Exhausted but calmer, Kira felt the dark energy loosen, but it was still there, a phantom ache in her spirit. The immediate nightmare was gone, but the long journey of true healing, Tenzin knew, had only just begun. After Kira's terrifying nightmares, the camp felt restless, her unspoken pain hanging heavy in the air. Tenzin knew the dark energy from Iron Peak still clung to her, a cruel leash from Master Iron's training. "We have to help her," Tenzin declared, remembering his own struggles within a darkness after the Storm Walker. Kai, ever logical, looked at the exhausted Kira. "This is a terrible idea, Tenzin. Her power nearly struck me last night." Tenzin approached Kira. "You don't have to carry this alone. I can help you purge it." Kira hesitated, then nodded grimly. Sentiment is a liability, but so is being controlled. Kai, despite his worry, began meticulously drawing a protective perimeter with glowing symbols around Kira. Tenzin, using his spirit sight, guided Kira into her own inner landscape, a stark, cold place mirroring Iron Peak. Kira relived a memory of brutal training, a small child forced to strike a stone with raw, unrefined power. Tenzin channeled golden energy, a shield against the pain, as dark energy from Iron Peak tried to lash out. Another memory surfaced, a fleeting moment of kindness from a fellow student, then his sudden, chilling disappearance. Outside, Kai felt the intensity of their spiritual struggle, pushing against the perimeter with newfound strength. Tenzin guided Kira deeper, searching past the pain, towards the essence of her true self. In the deepest shadows, they found it, a tiny spark of pure, silver-white light, like a hidden star. Kira reached out, and her suppressed power, her own true light, burst forth, shattering the dark conditioning. She emerged transformed, still fierce and sharp, but lighter, with a new depth in her dark eyes. Kira looked at her hands, glowing with pure silver-white light. "I didn't know I had something of my own." Suki, the spirit fox, nuzzled Kira's hand, her golden eye gleaming with acceptance. Even Kai smiled, a rare, unreserved expression of genuine happiness for his friend. The team felt stronger, a profound new bond forged, ready to face whatever came next. But far away, shrouded in perpetual storm clouds, Iron Peak pulsed with an ominous, growing red glow. A chilling whisper, just on the edge of hearing, echoed from the void, closer now, promising ruin. After securing the ocean gate, Tenzin's team journeyed north, seeking answers to the world's deepening cracks. Here, between realms, they found a thin place where the spirit realm was almost visible, shimmering like a dream. Tenzin, remembering the golden-eyed monk's words, knew he had to cross over fully for the first time. "I need to understand the source of the wound," Tenzin declared, his voice firm. "This is the only way." Kai, ever the worrier, gulped. "Go into the spirit world? This is definitely worse than stolen rice cakes." Kira, ever pragmatic, nodded. "You are the key, Tenzin. We will guard your physical form." Tenzin sat, closing his eyes, his physical body settling into a deep meditative state. Suki lay beside him. Kai and Kira stood vigil, their combined determination a powerful shield for their friend. Tenzin's spirit soared. The spirit realm was a breathtaking tapestry of pure light and fluid energy. Landscapes shifted like dreams, colors were impossibly deep, and every sound manifested as visible ripples of light. Suki, existing in both realms, appeared as a luminous silver fox, guiding Tenzin through the wondrous space. She led him to a vast golden hall, pulsing with ancient power, deep within the spirit realm. There, gathered in a silent council, sat all 22 of Tenzin's past incarnations. Each was distinct, fierce warriors, serene scholars, gentle healers, and even mischievous jesters, all with golden eyes. From the center, the first incarnation, the original great monk, emerged, his golden eyes burning like twin suns. "I opened the door between worlds, little one," his voice echoed, ancient and resonating. Spirit and matter were never meant to be separate. But as humans grew fearful, the fragile barrier became necessary, creating a divide. Now, the barrier wounds both worlds, a constant agony in the fabric of existence. And the wound, the first monk revealed, his voice solemn, the wound has become alive. It is your ancestral responsibility to heal what I started, Tenzin. To mend the fundamental wound. After meeting the Council of Lives, Tenzin and his friends rested, still in the thin space between worlds. Suddenly, spirit messengers, glowing orbs of light, streaked through the spirit realm, carrying urgent tidings from far away. Tenzin caught a scroll, his mischievous eyes now grave as ancient symbols pulsed with dire news. The message was chilling. Master Iron, corrupted by forbidden power, had finally fallen, consumed by the Void Walker. From the terrifying merge, a shadow general was born, a being of immense dark power, commanding a new army. Iron Peak, once Kira's home, now pulsed with a sinister red glow, a fortress of pure darkness. Kira's face, usually impassive, crumpled with quiet horror, remembering her harsh past and the friends she lost. They were just misguided, Kira whispered, her voice raw. Now they are puppets. The Shadow General is marching towards the nearest spirit gate, Tenzin declared, his voice firm. We have to go, now. This is a terrible idea, Kai muttered, adjusting his robes. A Shadow General? Really? Can't we just send a strongly worded letter? The team rushed across the fractured lands, a desperate race against the encroaching darkness. But they were not alone. From distant shores, allies gathered, drawn by the escalating threat. Elder Marina, guiding her whale spirit, led the Ocean Monastery monks, their courage as vast as the sea. From deep rivers, the magnificent sea dragon rose, its ancient eyes burning with a benevolent, protective fury. The combined forces met the Shadow Army at a fragile spirit gate, a monumental clash of light and darkness. Kira, with a heavy heart, confronted shadow-corrupted monks, her former Iron Peak students. She fought with precise blue energy, disarming, never striking to kill, wrestling with her own compassion. Tenzin and Kai fought fiercely, golden energy and nimble dodges protecting Kira's vulnerable flanks. The Shadow Army, battered and broken, finally retreated, dissolving into the encroaching gloom. Kira collapsed, physically and emotionally drained, her silent tears finally flowing for her lost friends. The spirit gate was saved, but its surface pulsed with ominous purple-black cracks, a testament to the battle's immense cost. After the fierce battle, Tenzin, Kai, Kira, and Suki found respite at the ancient Ocean Monastery. The monastery, once a lonely beacon, now buzzed with activity as word of the Voidwalker spread. Monks from distant monasteries arrived, their faces etched with concern, seeking answers and strength. Tenzin, remembering the Council of Lives, knew it was time to share a daunting truth. The Voidwalker, he explained, was not merely an enemy to defeat, but a wound to heal, born from an ancient division. The first great monk, centuries ago, had unintentionally created this suffering by separating the worlds. So, it's like trying to put a broken egg back together, Kai summarized, ever logical, but the egg is reality. Sentiment is a liability, Kira stated, but so is letting the world unravel. We must address the root cause. Elder Marina, her weathered face thoughtful, consulted ancient records unique to the Ocean Monastery. She spoke of the Origin Temple, where the first great monk first opened the door between worlds. It held the key to everything. The Origin Temple? That's it! Tenzin exclaimed, his mischievous eyes alight with the thrill of a new quest. Its location, however, had been lost for centuries, shrouded in myth and forgotten lore. But Kai, with his meticulous mind, saw patterns where others saw chaos. The spirit gates, he realized, weren't randomly placed, they formed an intricate, ancient constellation across the world. Suddenly, Kai gasped, his eyes wide with a profound epiphany. He pointed to a remote, treacherous region on the map, the frozen north, the most inhospitable land in the world. Frozen north. Kai gulped, his dry humor returning. This is definitely worse than giant angry dragons. Kira's sharp eyes surveyed the map. Sentiment is a liability, but so is freezing to death. We'll need supplies. Tenzin nodded, his mischievous spirit now fully committed to this grand, perilous journey. The world's fate now rested on their shoulders, leading them to the coldest, most ancient secret. After securing the ocean gate, Tenzin and his friends prepared to leave the Ocean Monastery, a new mission burning in their hearts. Elder Marina, her ancient eyes filled with wisdom, offered supplies and a heartfelt blessing for their perilous journey north. The magnificent sea dragon, now a benevolent ally, rose from the depths, promising to patrol the fragile ocean gates. Kai meticulously packed, while Tenzin, ever the rascal, tried to sneak extra rice cakes for the long road ahead. A messenger bird arrived, carrying grim news from Cloud Peak. Master Dorge held the mountain, but cracks worsened everywhere. Time was running out. The urgent message settled heavily on Tenzin, reminding him of his immense responsibility. Before their departure, Tenzin sought one final vision, a deep meditation to consult the council of past lives. In the shimmering spirit realm, the vast golden hall pulsed with ancient power, as the council of lives appeared. From their midst, the first great monk, Tenzin's earliest incarnation, emerged, his golden eyes burning like twin suns. "The Origin Temple holds the truth, little one," his ancient voice echoed, "but truth alone will not save you. You must find a way to heal the wound, not seal it, not open it, heal it. No incarnation before you has succeeded." The weight of his ancestors' word settled upon Tenzin, "You are our last hope." Tenzin emerged from his vision, the solemn words of the first monk echoing in his ears, a new purpose forged. He looked at Kai, his loyal anchor, and Kira, his fierce, new ally, their faces etched with concern. Suki, the spirit fox, nuzzled Tenzin's hand, her golden eye gleaming with understanding and fierce loyalty. Tenzin's mischievous eyes met theirs, now burning with profound purpose. "We're not just fixing cracks anymore. We're going to heal the world," he declared, his voice firm, ready for the hardest journey of his life. They set out toward the frozen north, leaving the relative warmth of the Ocean Monastery behind, toward a desolate, icy landscape. Behind them, the sky darkened with spreading cracks, and the Voidwalker's shadow general gathered its sinister forces. As they crested the first northern ridge, a chilling sight unfolded before them. The very edge of the world was dissolving. After weeks of travel, the path led Tenzin and his friends to the northern foothills, a vast gathering point for monks from across the world. Elder Marina's sea-green robe stood out among the vibrant colors of monks from every peak and shore, all gathered for war. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, found himself at the head of a long strategy table. As wise elders gathered, Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, idly picked his nose, unaware of the gravity. Kai, the 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, was mortified, but Kira, the 12-year-old girl, found it incredibly amusing. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, cleared his throat, his gaze now filled with ancient wisdom. He spoke of the Voidwalker, not as an enemy to defeat, but as the world's ancient wound, a pain to be healed, not fought. "Tenzin, my ancestors tried to seal it, but the wound kept bleeding. We must weave the worlds, not separate them." His words, carrying the weight of 22 lifetimes, silenced the skeptics, replacing doubt with a flicker of hope. A booming laugh announced a new arrival, Master Pema, a stocky warrior monk from the northern monastery, his arms enormous. He was a formidable presence, his face etched with battle scars, his strength legendary, his loyalty fierce. Just as Pema took his seat, a tiny, unassuming mouse scuttled across the meeting hall floor, unnoticed by most. But Pema, the fearsome warrior monk, saw it, and let out a blood-curdling scream, leaping onto the table in pure terror. Kai, the 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, curious green-brown eyes, brown-green robes, covered his face, mortified by the absurdity of the scene. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, giggled, then calmly scooped up the mouse, saving the terrified warrior. Pema, stocky fierce warrior monk in heavy grey robes, enormous arms, bald head with battle scars, visibly relieved, sheepishly thanked the small monk. With a shared laugh, the diverse monks, seeing Tenzin's unique blend of wisdom and mischief, formally forged their alliance. Their strategy was clear: the Alliance army would defend the vulnerable spirit gates, while Tenzin's team pushed to the Origin Temple. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, looked at the map, the immense weight of the world's fate now resting upon him. Far to the north, ominous storm clouds swirled around the frozen north, hinting at the dangerous path ahead. After weeks of travel, Cloud Peak still bore the scars of the Voidwalker's first strike. Now, the northern foothills buzzed with a fragile alliance. Tenzin, the 23rd Great Monk, now sat at the head of a long strategy table. The weight of the world rested on his young shoulders. Remembering the Council of Lives, Tenzin bravely assigned groups to defend the vulnerable spirit gates across the world. Soon, monks departed from the Alliance camp, their diverse robes a tapestry of hope against the encroaching darkness. As night fell, an unsettling quiet descended upon the Alliance camp. But the peace was not to last. Suddenly, shadow creatures, more numerous than ever, surged from the darkness, their dim eyes blinking in the gloom. Tenzin, remembering the Voidwalker's first strike, channeled golden energy, issuing commands to rally his allies. Kira, ever sharp and precise, moved like lightning, her blue energy cutting through the shadowy forms. Master Pema, the fierce warrior monk, roared with battle fury, his enormous arms a blur against the encroaching shadows. The attack was repelled, but the toll was clear. Injured monks lay across the camp, and Tenzin felt the crushing weight of every wound. Kira, seeing Tenzin's pain, offered a blunt, yet comforting truth, forged in the harshness of Iron Peak. "You can't save everyone," Kira stated, her voice clipped. "But you can give everyone a chance." Inspired by the need for quick alerts, Kai worked tirelessly, devising a brilliant communication system. He created a network of spiritual energy pulses, allowing distant monastery defenders to send and receive signals instantly. Master Pema, despite his fear of mice, fiercely took charge of the Alliance's rear guard, ready for any further attacks. With the camp secured, Tenzin's core team began their arduous march north, towards the Origin Temple. The air grew colder, the landscape harsher, each step a testament to their unwavering resolve. But as they pressed on, unseen by the weary travelers, something ancient watched from the snow-covered peaks ahead. A chilling presence, a silent test, awaited them in the heart of the frozen north, their perilous journey far from over. Leaving the Alliance behind, Tenzin's team ventured into the desolate expanse of the frozen north, a land of biting winds and endless ice. Here, the cold was a living thing, seeping into their bones, threatening to extinguish their spiritual warmth. Kira's sharp blue energy, usually so potent, now flickered like a dying ember against the crushing cold. Even Suki, the loyal spirit fox, seemed to dim, her silver fur losing its shimmer, her golden eye less bright. But Tenzin, remembering the words of his ancestors, pushed on, a hidden strength burning within his spirit. Lost in the endless white, exhaustion crept in, and the harsh landscape offered no mercy or clear path. Kai, usually so reliable with maps, found his senses failing him in this desolate, spirit-draining realm. Then, amidst the swirling snow, Kai saw it, faint, glowing threads, connecting the sparse, frozen life around him. Hesitantly, he followed a shimmering thread, skeptical but compelled by the strange new vision. The thread led them to a hidden ice cave, offering unexpected warmth and a moment of respite from the storm. Later, another thread led them to a cluster of hardy, glowing berries, a vital source of sustenance in the barren land. Kai was confused, even frightened. This wasn't map reading, this was something far more profound and unsettling. Tenzin, remembering the intricate patterns of the spirit gates, recognized this extraordinary new gift. Kai, ever humble, tried to dismiss the incredible new power that had just saved their lives. Kira, ever pragmatic, saw the undeniable truth in Kai's new, essential ability, despite his protests. Despite his fear, Kai could no longer deny the shimmering web that now revealed itself to his eyes, guiding their every step. As they journeyed deeper, the cold intensified, and an ancient, watchful presence made itself known. From the swirling snow ahead, twin glowing eyes, one amber, one silver, watched their every move, a silent, powerful challenge. Deep in the frozen north, the biting winds tested Tenzin's team, threatening to extinguish their spiritual warmth. Kai, using his newfound thread sight, saw faint glowing paths connecting the frozen landscape, guiding their desperate journey. Suddenly, a colossal blizzard, thick with unnatural energy, roared to life, blocking their path completely. From the swirling snow emerged two translucent figures, ethereal beings made of wind and ice, the legendary Wind Sisters. These ancient guardians of the frozen north tested all who sought passage to the Origin Temple. "You seek the Origin Temple," the sister with amber eyes spoke, her voice like chimes. "You must first prove yourselves worthy." The amber-eyed sister turned to Kira, and a vision swirled around her, her younger self, harsh and cold at Iron Peak. Kira saw the students she had hurt, their faces etched with fear, echoing her own suppressed shame from Iron Peak's cruel training. Remembering Cloud Peak's warmth, Kira channeled her pure silver-white energy, not to fight, but to project genuine remorse and understanding. The vision dissipated, and the Wind Sister nodded, a rare, approving smile gracing her translucent face. Next, the silver-eyed sister turned to Kai, plunging him into a swirling labyrinth of shifting ice and wind. Kai, usually logical, had to abandon maps and trust only his burgeoning thread sight to navigate the impossible maze. He hesitated, then took a deep breath, stepping forward as the threads glowed brighter, guiding his every movement. Exhausted but triumphant, Kai emerged from the labyrinth, the silver-eyed sister offering a rare, gentle smile. Both Wind Sisters turned to Tenzin. His trial, the hardest of all, was about to begin. Tenzin was plunged into a horrifying vision, a future where he failed, where the Void Walker unmade all existence. He saw his loved ones perish, the world fading to nothing, the immense weight of his destiny crushing his spirit. Despair threatened to consume him, but Tenzin remembered Master Dorj's wisdom, Kai's loyalty, Kira's strength, and Suki's comfort. He chose to act, not out of certainty, but out of the courage to try, even if failure was possible. The Wind Sisters nodded in unison, the colossal blizzard parted, revealing the ancient Origin Temple. The last one who came this way was the first, the silver-eyed sister whispered to Tenzin. He was also afraid. "Be braver than your fear, child." Her words echoed the weight of his ancestors. But as they gazed at the imposing temple, a menacing red glow pulsed from the distance, hinting at a new, terrifying threat. Cloud Peak still bore the scars of the Voidwalker's first strike, but a deeper unease now settled upon its ancient stones. From distant peaks and shores, monks had gathered at the northern foothills, their faces etched with concern for the looming war. Suddenly, a chilling whisper swept through Kai's communication network. The Voidwalker had launched its full, coordinated assault. Messages flooded in, the Desert Gate, the Ocean Gate, Cloud Peak itself, all besieged simultaneously. At Cloud Peak, Master Dorj bravely struggled to hold a fragile golden barrier against the encroaching Void Walker. Elder Marina, on her whale spirit, rallied the Ocean Monastery monks against an onslaught of shadowy, corrupted sea creatures. The magnificent sea dragon, Tenzin's benevolent ally, roared with protective fury, defending the fragile Ocean Gate. From the northern monastery, Master Pema, mighty and fierce, led his warrior monks against a legion of shadow creatures. Even amidst the chaos, Pema's peculiar fear of mice provided a moment of unexpected humor for his embattled monks. Meanwhile, Tenzin, Kai, Kira, and Suki pushed desperately through the final, treacherous frozen passes of the frozen north. Tenzin felt the world's pain, seeing visions of his friends fighting, their struggles echoing across the fractured realms. He wanted to turn back, to help his allies. His mischievous spirit yearned for direct action, to be with those he loved. Kira, sensing his hesitation, grabbed his arm, her voice cutting through the blizzard with sharp precision. "If we turn back, she declared, everyone fighting out there is fighting for nothing. We're the only ones who can reach the temple. Tenzin made the hardest decision of his young life, trusting his friends to hold the line while he pushed forward. With renewed determination, the trio pressed onward, leaving the distant echoes of war behind them. The world bled, the war raged, and the fate of reality now rested on their desperate journey to the Origin Temple. Deep in the frozen north, Tenzin's team pushed on, the distant war a painful echo in their hearts. Suddenly, a chilling presence filled the air, far more menacing than the biting winds. It was the Shadow General, Master Iron, consumed by the Void Walker, here to intercept them. The battle in the frozen wastes began, a clash of light against profound darkness. Kira's sharp eyes met the Shadow General's flickering gaze, recognizing the twisted form of her former master. A chilling whisper emerged from the shadow, "I made you, girl. Everything you are, I gave you." Kira's silver-white power blazed defiantly, "You taught me to survive. But these people taught me to live." She fought with a newfound strength, fueled by compassion learned at Cloud Peak, against the man who twisted her past. Tenzin and Kai, true to their bond, protected Kira's flanks, their combined efforts a beacon of hope. Their combined power drove the Shadow General back, but its immense force remained undiminished. The team realized they couldn't defeat it, they were simply buying time, slowly being overwhelmed. Then, a booming laugh echoed through the blizzard, followed by the arrival of Master Pema and his northern monks. Pema bellowed, "Go! I'll handle this overgrown shadow puppet. I fought scarier things." He hadn't. He was terrified. But true courage, he knew, was fighting for what mattered despite the fear. With Pema holding the line, Tenzin's team sprinted towards the Origin Temple, its ancient form now visible. Behind them, Pema's roar mingled with the shrieks of shadow creatures, a desperate, valiant stand. Finally, they reached the temple's entrance, its colossal doors etched with symbols from a forgotten age. Inside, the air hummed with ancient power and the weight of a truth long buried. Outside, the furious battle raged, Pema's cries growing desperate against the Shadow General's assault. Tenzin took a deep breath, the ultimate truth about the world's wound now within his grasp. Deep in the frozen north, Tenzin's team finally reached the Origin Temple, its colossal doors etched with forgotten symbols. They pushed through, leaving the blizzard and the distant war behind, stepping into an unknown quiet. Inside, the air hummed, warm and timeless, a stark contrast to the icy world they had just left. Every wall was covered in shimmering murals, telling a story older than memory itself. Tenzin, guided by Suki's knowing golden eye, began to piece together the truth of his first incarnation. The first mural showed the great monk, not making a mistake, but intentionally opening the barrier between worlds. He didn't make a mistake, Tenzin whispered, or in his voice. He meant to do it. For a glorious age, spirit and physical realms coexisted, humans walked with spirits, and magic was woven into daily life. It was beautiful, Kira murmured, a rare, soft expression on her face, touched by the ancient harmony. But then, fear crept into human hearts, turning wonder into suspicion, and suspicion into hatred. Wars broke out, brutal and devastating, as physical and spiritual worlds clashed in sorrow. Heartbroken, the first monk created the barrier, not to divide, but to protect both sides from themselves. He saved them, Tenzin whispered, feeling the ancient monk's profound pain and impossible choice. But the separation itself became a wound, a constant agony in the fabric of existence. This wound festered, grew, and eventually became conscious, it became the Void Walker. Tenzin gasped, the horrifying truth hitting him like a thunderbolt. The Void Walker was not evil, but infinite suffering. The Void Walker is the pain of the original separation. Kira stated, her voice clipped, her sharp eyes wide with disbelief. I told you it would be complicated, Kai muttered, his voice shaking. But this is just tragic. Tenzin looked at his friends, a new, fierce resolve burning in his mischievous eyes. The solution was neither to open nor seal. His ancestors tried to fight the wound, but Tenzin knew he had to heal it, to weave the worlds back into harmony. Inside the Origin Temple, Tenzin meditated deeply, the truth of his first incarnation's choice heavy on his young spirit. He replayed the ancient murals, the story of separation, and the Voidwalker's birth from infinite suffering. Nearby, Kai sat, meticulously sketching the temple's intricate patterns, when suddenly, his thread sight flared to life. He saw it all, every thread connecting every living thing in the world, physical and spiritual, radiating from the temple. The sheer volume of connections, a vast, pulsating web of existence, threatened to overwhelm his senses. Kira, ever the astute observer, watched Tenzin's struggle and Kai's dizzying vision. She recalled the council's words about the failed attempts of Tenzin's ancestors and the enduring suffering. Her clipped words cut through the weight of history, pointing towards an undeniable truth. Kira's words, combined with Kai's vision, sparked a profound epiphany in Tenzin's meditative state. Not to seal, not to open, but to weave. To mend the worlds together in a tapestry of harmony. Each realm would maintain its unique nature, its magic, its physical laws, yet flow in subtle harmony with the other. The ancient barrier would become not a wall, but a living membrane, permeable and breathing. Kai, still processing his thread sight, offered a characteristically worried, yet valid, question. Kira, ever the strategist, immediately grasped the immense implications of Tenzin's vision. The very entity that had plagued their world, the embodiment of ancient suffering, now needed to cooperate. For the Voidwalker * was * the wound of separation, the constant agony given terrible form. To weave the worlds, Tenzin understood, he must first heal that ancient wound. This was his true ancestral responsibility, the one no incarnation before him had ever attempted. Outside, the sounds of the war, the desperate cries of his allies, were a chilling reminder of the urgency. But within the temple, a faint, chilling whisper echoed, not from the Voidwalker, but another, older presence. Something ancient, something primordial, had been awakened by the very act of seeking balance. Inside the Origin Temple, Tenzin now knew the terrifying truth, the Voidwalker was not evil, but infinite suffering, born from separation. His ancestors had tried to fight it, but Tenzin knew he must heal the wound, not seal it. This would require an impossible act of courage. He needed to reach out to the Voidwalker, to understand its pain. This meant entering the space between worlds, its very domain. Go into the void itself. Kai gulped, his face pale. This is definitely worse than giant angry dragons. Sentiment is a liability, Kira stated, her voice clipped, but letting you walk into the void alone is a greater one. We will protect your body. Tenzin closed his eyes, his spirit leaving his body. The world around him dissolved, giving way to an endless, terrifying grey. This was the space between worlds, the Voidwalker's domain. Here, nothing truly existed, and the concept of self began to dissolve. A vast, ancient presence stirred. The Voidwalker, a formless shadow with countless dim eyes, coalesced around Tenzin's tiny spirit. The Voidwalker opened its ancient being, showing Tenzin its pain, millennia of agony, a living wound, unable to heal or die. It was born from the first great monk's act of separation, a consequence of saving the worlds, yet condemned to know only suffering. Its attacks on the world were not malice, but a desperate scream of pain, a constant yearning to be whole, to be unmade. Tenzin felt the crushing weight of its existence. It was a moment of profound, terrifying wonder, seeing the heart of the world's wound. Remembering his lesson from the shadow in the well, Tenzin chose not to fight. Power would not heal this deeper wound. He looked into the countless dim eyes, not with fear, but with an open heart, ready to offer the one thing no one ever had. I see your pain, Tenzin whispered, his small voice echoing in the vast emptiness. It was my ancestor who caused it. I'm sorry. For the first time in thousands of years, the vast, ancient Voidwalker stopped. Its countless dim eyes ceased their shifting. It hesitated. a profound silence descended upon the space between worlds, a stillness deeper than any Tenzin had ever known. Then, a whisper, ancient and vulnerable, reverberated through the void. "No one has ever said that to me." Tenzin's spirit, exhausted but triumphant, looked at the quieted Void Walker. A true connection had been forged across millennia of pain. But just as hope blossomed, an almost imperceptible tremor rippled through the edges of the void, from somewhere far, far beyond. Something ancient and inevitable, stirred awake by the very act of seeking balance, began to press against the fabric of reality itself. In the boundless grey of the space between worlds, Tenzin's small spirit faced the colossal Void Walker. His heartfelt apology, a first in millennia, had silenced the ancient entity, but not resolved its profound inner conflict. Part of the Void Walker yearned for the peace of healing, for the end of its millennia of suffering. But part feared what it would become without its wound, for pain had become its identity. Outside the Origin Temple, Kira sensed the spiritual struggle, an echo of her own past battle against the darkness within. Remembering her own transformation, Kira made a bold choice. Her spirit left her body, joining Tenzin in the terrifying void. With newfound courage, Kira confronted the Void Walker, speaking from the depths of her own experience. "I was made from darkness too," Kira declared, her voice resonating with a truth the Void Walker understood. "I was afraid that without it, I would be nothing. But I found something better." The Void Walker's countless eyes blinked slowly, some dimming further, others brightening with confusion and a flicker of longing. While Tenzin and Kira faced an ancient foe, the war raged across the fractured realms. Cloud Peak's barrier weakened, Master Dorge pushing his limits. At the Ocean Gate, the magnificent sea dragon fought fiercely, its body shielding the fragile barrier from a relentless onslaught of corrupted creatures. In the frozen north, Master Pema, mighty but terrified, was nearly overrun by legions of shadow creatures, his booming laugh now a desperate roar. Back at the Origin Temple, Kai received a torrent of desperate messages through his spiritual network, his face etched with growing alarm. "They can't hold much longer," Kai murmured, his voice strained. "We have to do something, Tenzin. We're losing everyone." Inside the void, Tenzin understood the urgency. He turned to the vast entity, his spirit glowing with unwavering resolve. "You don't have to decide alone," Tenzin whispered, his voice warm and steady. "Let me show you what healing feels like." He extended his small spirit hand towards the colossal Void Walker, a powerful wave of golden light emanating from his touch, an offer of true healing. The Void Walker hesitated, its vast form wavering, caught between millennia of pain and the fragile, terrifying hope of release. Suddenly, a deeper tremor rippled through the edges of the void itself, an ancient, primordial force stirring awake, threatening to unmake all. The choice remained, suspended in the balance, acceptance of healing, or continued fear in the face of ultimate oblivion. Kai, outside the temple, felt the world shudder, a chilling premonition of the grand weaving, and the immense, unknown dangers ahead. Inside the Origin Temple, Tenzin knew his true ancestral responsibility to heal the ancient wound of separation, not fight it. Drawing on 22 lifetimes of wisdom, Tenzin began to channel immense golden energy, preparing to reshape the very fabric of reality. Kai, ever observant, now saw a vast, pulsating web of glowing threads connecting every living thing across all realms. His unique thread sight was the key, allowing him to guide Tenzin with impossible precision, a compass in the spiritual storm. From the heart of the Origin Temple, a colossal wave of golden, shimmering energy radiated outward, touching every corner of the world. At Cloud Peak, Master Dorge, remembering the mountain's heart, channeled his monk's collective energy toward the distant weaving. Elder Marina, on her whale spirit, joined the magnificent sea dragon, adding their immense power at the Ocean Gate. Master Pema, mid-battle against shadow creatures, roared a fierce challenge and added his warrior spirit to the grand weaving. Even the 22 golden-eyed spirits of Tenzin's past incarnations pushed their ancient power toward ultimate harmony. The Void Walker, moved by Tenzin's compassion and Kira's testimony, slowly began to shift, its vast form wavering in acceptance. Its immense energy, once a source of suffering, now tentatively joined the weave, merging with Tenzin's golden light and Kira's starlight. The rigid barrier between worlds transformed from a separating wall to a living, breathing membrane, permeable and shimmering. Across the globe, colors rippled through the sky, and spirit and physical reality began to subtly harmonize, a breathtaking dance of balance. In harmonized regions, villagers saw spirits walking among them, not with fear but with shared wonder and quiet acceptance. But the healing was not complete. A sudden, agonizing tremor ripped through the vast form of the Void Walker. Part of it, unable to shed its ancient identity of pain, tore itself away, shrieking silently as it retreated into a deeper darkness. The grand weaving was a partial success. The world was now a patchwork, some regions harmonized, others still fractured and vulnerable. Even incomplete healing is still healing, but as the Void Walker's fragment vanished, something ancient and inevitable stirred in the deepest darkness, awakened. After the grand weaving, the world was irrevocably changed, a testament to Tenzin's daring vision. In the harmonized regions, spirit and physical realms coexisted beautifully, a breathtaking tapestry of life. Spirit creatures, once hidden, now walked openly among humans, greeted with wonder and quiet acceptance. But fractured regions remained dangerous, where cracks bled dark energy and shadow creatures still lurked. Tenzin, Kai, and Kira surveyed the transformed world, understanding their journey was far from over. Kira, with her unique blend of pure light and former darkness, was destined for a new role. She accepted her destiny to guard the harmonized zones, protecting the delicate balance from remaining threats. Master Pema, recovered from his injuries, joked he merely let the shadows win a few rounds. During the weaving, the human part of Master Iron was peacefully freed from the Void Walker's grip. Kira, witnessing his peaceful release, quietly mourned her former master, finding solace in his end. With their duties assigned and goodbyes made, the team began their journey back towards Cloud Peak. On their journey, Tenzin felt an unsettling presence, a chill deeper than the mountain air. Deep in the space between places, where the Void Walker's rejected fragment had fled, something stirred. It was older, vaster, and more fundamental than the Void Walker itself. Not evil, but absolute. Tenzin instinctively knew this new entity sought to unmake all things, to return reality to nothing. A chilling premonition settled upon him, a fear far greater than any shadow creature or lost rice cake. He turned to his friends, his voice barely a whisper, filled with a new, terrifying certainty. "There's something else out there," Tenzin whispered, his gaze fixed on the darkening horizon. The sky at the edge of the world pulsed ominously, and for one terrifying frame, reality itself began to dissolve. Weeks passed since the grand weaving, bringing a fragile new peace to Cloud Peak, but it was not to last. But distant echoes of trouble soon arrived, carried by frantic messenger birds from the world's far reaches. Master Dorge shared chilling reports. Stars were vanishing from the night sky at the world's edges, simply ceasing to exist. Tenzin, ever curious, wondered at this new mystery, unlike any ancient threat he'd seen before. Kira returned, her sharp eyes holding a grim report from the harmonized zone she now guarded. The horizon at the world's edges was thin, Kira explained, as if reality itself was losing definition. This wasn't the Void Walker's hunger, this was something far more unsettling. Tenzin knew he had to see it. Tenzin, Kai, Kira, and Suki journeyed to the edge of a harmonized zone, where new harmony met unknown threat. There, they saw it, reality dissolving like ink in water, stars winking out, colors fading to gray. It was not destruction, but unmaking, things simply ceased to exist, erased from being. Beyond the dissolution, there was nothing. Not darkness, but an absolute, terrifying absence. Tenzin remembered the chilling whisper in the Origin Temple, an older presence, stirring awake, episode 44. This was the primordial dark, not a creature, but entropy itself, the natural tendency of all things to return to nothing. Dormant for eons, it had been held in check by the delicate barrier between worlds, created by the first great monk. But repeated tampering, by the first monk, Master Iron, the Void Walker, and even Tenzin's weaving had awakened it. Tenzin stared at the Unmaking, a cold horror seizing him. Every action, even his best intentions, had made this worse. This was not an enemy to be battled with golden energy or sharp strikes. This was unyielding. He grasped the horrifying truth: you cannot fight the tendency of all things to end. For once, Kai had no logical retort, only silent fear. Kira's pragmatic resolve faltered, seeing the unchallengeable. Suki nudged Tenzin's hand, her golden eye fixed on him, as if asking what could possibly come next. The edge of reality pulsed, and beyond, the abyss of Unmaking waited patiently, inevitably. Weeks of fragile peace at Cloud Peak could not last. Distant echoes of trouble soon arrived on frantic messenger birds. Master Dorge shared chilling reports: stars were vanishing from the night sky at the world's edges, simply ceasing to exist. Kira returned, her sharp eyes holding a grim report. The horizon at the world's edges was thin, as if reality itself was dissolving. Tenzin, Kai, Kira, and Suki journeyed to the edge of a harmonized zone. There, they saw it. Reality was dissolving like ink in water. Stars winked out, colors faded to gray. Rivers simply stopped existing. Tenzin, remembering the Void Walker and the Grand Weaving, tried to push back with his golden energy. His immense power simply evaporated. He had never felt so utterly helpless. Kai, ever logical, offered a desperate idea. Maybe, he suggested, we need allies in unexpected places. Tenzin, using his spirit sight, sought the remaining fragment of the Void Walker, hiding in the deep between space. He found it, weakened, frightened. Even the Void Walker, born of pain, recoiled from the ultimate nothingness. I am pain, the Void Walker whispered, its voice ancient and vulnerable. But even pain is something. That thing out there is nothing. I don't want to be nothing. It was a desperate plea for existence. An unlikely alliance was forged across millennia of conflict, boy and wound united against erasure. Spirit creatures across the world, from fluttering sprites to ancient dragons, rallied against the Unmaking. Even ordinary humans, seeing the edges of their world dissolving, contributed their raw energy. Fear, hope, love, anger, all of it was energy. All of it was something against nothing. Tenzin looked at the combined energy, realizing every spark of existence, even pain, was precious. But the primordial dark was vast. The Unmaking continued, slower now, but relentless. Kai, looking at his thread sight, saw a faint, new thread, glowing faintly, leading deeper into the unknown. It's a path, he whispered, a mix of awe and terror in his voice. A path to what? No one knew. Since the Grand Weaving, a deeper terror gripped the world. Reality itself began to fray at the edges, dissolving into nothingness. Kai's unique thread sight, his gift from the frozen north, now pulsed erratically. Threads of existence snapped like old rope, alarming him. Tenzin watched his friend, concern etched on his mischievous face. Kira, ever pragmatic, noted the ominous implications of the unraveling world. Yet, amidst the chaos, Kai noticed something miraculous. Certain threads, the deepest connections of life, glowed brighter than ever, resisting the decay. He realized these strengthening threads pointed to a single, impossible destination, the thread Nexus, the heart of all connections. This was not a physical place, nor a spiritual one. The thread Nexus was the convergence of all connections, a place of pure, fundamental being. If he could reach it, Kai knew he might be able to anchor reality itself, to reweave the unraveling tapestry of existence. But Tenzin's immense golden power, Kira's sharp strength, even Suki's spirit essence, would overwhelm such a delicate place, disrupting the balance. Only Kai, the quiet, worried friend, possessed the gentle touch, the subtle connection needed to navigate the Nexus without disruption. Kai was terrified. He had always been the cautious sidekick, the one who worried. This was a burden too great for him, a destiny he never imagined. Tenzin, sensing his friend's profound fear, pulled Kai into a rare, tight hug, understanding the immense weight on his young shoulders. Tenzin looked into Kai's eyes, his voice filled with profound love and conviction. Even Kira, ever pragmatic, nodded. This was Kai's moment, a vital, terrifying journey only he could make, a role she grudgingly respected. Suki, the spirit fox, nuzzled Kai's hand, her golden eye gleaming with fierce loyalty, a silent promise of support in the unknown. Though fear still flickered, a deep resolve burned in Kai's eyes. He would face this impossible task, not for glory, but for his friends and the world. With a deep breath, Kai stepped forward, following the brightest threads, into the shimmering, unknown path to the Nexus. Tenzin and Kira watched him go, a silent prayer on their lips as their loyal friend vanished into the unraveling world, carrying their hopes. As Kai journeyed, the primordial dark pressed closer, the world's edges dissolving faster, a chilling reminder of the inevitable unmaking. The fate of all existence now rested on the quiet shoulders of the boy who always worried. Would his gentle touch be enough? The world frayed at the edges, dissolving into nothingness. All hope now rested on Kai, the quiet, worried friend. With a deep breath, Kai stepped onto a shimmering path of light. His journey into the thread Nexus had begun. He followed bright threads through familiar physical landscapes. Each thread connected mountains to rivers, and trees to distant clouds. Next, Kai entered the spirit realm, seeing shimmering connections between spirit animals and ancient magical energies, like his past journey in episode 33. Deeper still, reality dissolved. Kai entered a realm of pure connection, where everything was bond, everything was relationship. It was beautiful, an intricate dance of existence. Yet, it was terrifying, for true disconnection here meant ceasing to be. Kai felt truly alone, a small spark amidst the infinite web. This was his greatest fear amplified. A thread near him snapped, then vanished, a chilling demonstration of what disconnection truly meant in this place. He needed anchors. Kai focused, clinging to every connection he'd ever made, starting with Tenzin's mischievous grin. Then, Kira's sharp, precise gaze. Their bond, forged in battle and unlikely alliance, became a strong, clear thread. He remembered the comforting stones of Cloud Peak, the scent of camphor trees, and Master Dorge's knowing smile. Then, a realization, his constant worry, his cautious nature, was simply another form of caring. A thread, soft but strong. Each memory, each bond, became a lifeline, anchoring Kai in the vast, dizzying Nexus. He was not alone. Guided by the brightest threads, Kai pressed onward, deeper into the Nexus, towards its shimmering, pulsating heart. He reached the center, a point of pure energy. Kai extended a hand, and touched the radiant core, the heartbeat of existence. In that touch, he understood everything. This was where all threads originated. The source of all being. From here, he could channel the grand weaving, reinforcing reality itself against the unmaking, just as the first great monk intended. But it would take everything he had. Every ounce of his spirit, every fiber of his being. A monumental, terrifying sacrifice. Outside, the primordial dark pulsed, vast and patient. It sensed his presence, drawing closer to the fragile heart of existence. Kai closed his eyes, took one last breath, and reached out. The fate of all existence now rested on his quiet, worried heart. Kai, a 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, stood at the heart of the thread Nexus, a shimmering web of pure energy. He was alone, surrounded by the infinite dance of existence. But the primordial dark now pressed in. Threads at the Nexus's edges began to fray and dissolve into nothingness. Kai felt the immense pressure, his small form trembling. He was frightened, exhausted, facing the unmaking alone. Closer and closer, more threads snapped and vanished, chilling reminders of his impending doom. The abyss of nothingness encroached. He closed his eyes, remembering Tenzin's impulsive bravery and his joyous, mischievous grin. What's the worst that could happen? He recalled Kira's unwavering determination, her sharp eyes blazing with fierce resolve. Sentiment is a liability, she'd often say. Master Dorj's calm, knowing smile and ancient wisdom echoed in his mind. Patience, young one, the head monk often advised. Suki, the loyal spirit fox, appeared in his mind's eye, her golden eye gleaming with fierce, silent support. She had followed them everywhere. He realized he was not truly alone. He was the sum of every connection, every friendship, every lesson from the floating temple to the origin temple. Kai looked at his fear, not as an enemy, but as a part of him. His constant worry was simply another form of caring. His thread sight, his unique gift, evolved. He didn't just see the connections anymore, he began to become one with them. Kai's form shimmered, still himself, still Kai, but also something more. He became a living anchor, a bridge between all connections. He held the center of the Nexus, the radiating heart of reality, against the relentless press of the primordial dark. The unmaking continued. With every ounce of his being, Kai sent a pulse outward through every thread of existence, a silent message across realms. His voice, gentle but firm, echoed through the vast web of connections. I'm ready. I'm holding the center. Do what you need to do. Far away, under the old camphor tree at Cloud Peak, Tenzin felt the pulse. A wave of profound relief and pride washed over him. Tears streamed down his mischievous dark eyes, a mix of joy and deep understanding. Kai had transcended. Yet, the primordial dark pulsed ominously at the world's dissolving edges. Kai's sacrifice had bought time, but the unmaking was relentless. A new, urgent task now fell to Tenzin and Kira. Kai had done his part. What more could they do against oblivion? While Kai held the thread Nexus and Tenzin prepared for the final weaving, Kira embarked on her own essential mission. She journeyed back to Iron Peak, the place where she was raised, trained, and broken by Master Iron's corruption. Within the desolate ruins, corrupted monks wandered like ghosts, their dark power fading without Master Iron to fuel it. Kira faced them, not with violence, but with a firm, unwavering resolve born from her own hard-won transformation. She spoke to them of Master Iron's greed, and how power taken by force, like theirs, was ultimately hollow. Kira told them how true strength, like the mountain's heart, came from connection and unity, not from selfish ambition. Her words cut through the ingrained fear, revealing that they, too, were victims of Master Iron's cruel, dark corruption. One by one, she reached them, offering the same healing compassion Tenzin had once shown her in her own nightmares. With her pure silver-white starlight, Kira gently purged the dark conditioning from their very souls, freeing them. The monks, once instruments of darkness, blinked in confusion, then with a profound, quiet gratitude. Not all accepted Kira's truth, some, too deeply lost, fled into the dissolving edges of reality, becoming nothing. But many were saved, their faces now reflecting a fragile hope, a second chance at a different path. Kira planted a new banner on Iron Peak, replacing the old black flag with one of shimmering silver. She founded a new tradition, the Silver Path, blending fierce strength with the profound compassion learned at Cloud Peak. Iron Peak was redeemed, no longer a fortress of darkness, but a beacon of hope against the unmaking. Far away, under the old camphor tree, 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, felt Kira's success, a surge of pure light rippling across the world. Suki, the small silver fox, nudged his hand playfully, sharing Tenzin's quiet joy and proud relief. Yet, the primordial dark still pressed in, the world's edges dissolving relentlessly, a chilling reminder of the inevitable unmaking. Kai, at the thread Nexus, held the center of existence, but his gentle touch alone could not stop the creeping void. Kira, transformed by the Silver Path, led her monks to the world's dissolving edges, a shield against oblivion. Her unique silver light, born of redeemed darkness, wove intricate barriers against the encroaching nothingness. These shimmering barriers pulsed, slowing the relentless, unmaking advance of the primordial dark, buying precious time. Kira stood as the world's shield, resolute, while Tenzin prepared his ultimate embrace to heal reality. At Cloud Peak, Tenzin gathered every ally, from distant peaks and shores, preparing for the impossible weaving. Master Dorge, Elder Marina, and Master Pema stood ready, their combined wisdom and strength a mighty force. Even the magnificent Sea Dragon, Tenzin's benevolent ally from episode 30, answered the urgent call, its spirit light burning bright. Tenzin explained the daring plan, a final grand weaving, an ultimate embrace of all existence, channeling through Kai. Kai, anchoring the thread Nexus since his Transcendence, would be their heart, channeling every bond forged. Kira's new silver barriers would protect the fragile weave, shielding them from the unraveling edges of reality. Every monk, every spirit, every human, Tenzin declared, his voice firm, must lend their energy. We are all connected. Tenzin reached out to the Void Walker remnant, its pain now a desperate yearning for existence, not destruction. Its ancient suffering, once a weapon, now tentatively joined the tapestry, becoming part of the world's healing. All was in position. The world held its breath, ready for the final, desperate act of creation and harmony. But the primordial dark accelerated, stars winking out faster, the horizon closing in, threatening all hope. Tenzin felt the world's final shudder, the weight of everything resting on this one, desperate chance. At the thread Nexus, Kai fought to hold the center, his small form straining against the encroaching oblivion. The world frayed at its edges, dissolving into nothingness. Stars vanished, leaving gaping holes in the night sky above Cloud Peak. Mountains on the horizon, once majestic, had simply ceased to exist. An unnatural cold bit into the monastery, as if existence itself was thinning. Fear gripped the monks. Even their ancient chants offered little comfort against the encroaching void. The final weaving was set for dawn. Tenzin, the 10-year-old boy with shaved head, mischievous dark eyes, saffron robes with maroon sash, lay restless in his bed. Sleep would not come. He rose, walking through the silent, cold monastery. Each step echoed the immense weight on his young shoulders. Suki, the small silver fox, materialized from the shadows, her golden eye gleaming with silent understanding, a loyal presence. He sought refuge under their old camphor tree, the familiar branches a small comfort against the unraveling world. Tenzin closed his eyes, reaching across the vast distance, through the threads of existence, for his best friend. Deep in the thread Nexus, Kai, the 10-year-old boy with messy black hair, received the pulse, anchoring himself against the cosmic storm. I'm scared, Kai, Tenzin whispered, his voice trembling across the spiritual connection, vulnerable and honest. Me too, Kai's voice responded, gentle yet firm. Remember what you said in episode 1, Tenzin. Tenzin remembered their first adventure to the floating temple, a memory of playful courage. What's the worst that could happen? Kai's voice echoed, recalling Tenzin's impulsive words from so long ago. Tenzin let out a choked laugh through his tears, a mix of fear and deep affection. The universe ends. Yeah, Kai replied, his voice soft, but we'll end together. That's not nothing. Suddenly, a shadow fell. Master Dorge, the elderly monk in deep maroon robes, stood by the camphor tree, prayer beads in hand. For the first time, Dorge sat beside him, not as a master, but as a friend. His voice was warm and filled with ancient pride. I have watched you grow from a rice cake thief to the hope of the world, Master Dorge said, a gentle smile touching his lips. And I am prouder of you than any master has the right to be. His words were a balm to Tenzin's fearful heart. As the first golden light of dawn touched the cloud peak, Tenzin stood, resolute, ready to face the unmaking. The world was still dissolving, the edges of reality fading into nothingness. But Tenzin was not afraid. He was ready. The fragile new peace after the grand weaving could not last. The primordial dark now surged, erasing reality itself. Once vibrant seas, home to ancient spirits, began to drain away, swallowed by the encroaching abyss. Kira's silver barriers, fiercely protecting the harmonized zones, flickered under the relentless, unmaking pressure. One by one, her hard-won defenses shattered, not by attack, but by the cold, inevitable touch of entropy itself. The world was disappearing. Even Cloud Peak, once a haven above the clouds, trembled under the unmaking. Inside, the monastery's monks chanted, channeling every ounce of spiritual energy to resist oblivion. Far below, Master Pema, mighty but terrified, led his warrior monks against creatures born of the chaos. He fought with fierce loyalty, even as a tiny mouse scurried past, reminding him of his deepest fear. At the ocean gate, Elder Marina and the magnificent sea dragon created a tidal barrier of spiritual water. Yet, all their defiance, all their power, was not enough. The unmaking was relentless, absolute. At Cloud Peak's heart, where the mountain's heart pulse below, stood Tenzin, the 23rd great monk. He reached outward, his spirit connecting to Kai, holding the thread Nexus against oblivion. His spirit found Kira at the shattered borders, a lone beacon of silver light in the encroaching void. He felt Master Dorj's ancient wisdom, Marina's fierce love, Pema's raw courage, and Suki's loyal comfort. Tenzin connected to every ally, every living thing, feeling their fear, their love, their fierce defiance. The weight of existence, the burden of all hopes and fears, settled upon his young spirit. But a spark ignited within him, a defiance forged in mischief and tempered by destiny. Not yet. It's not time yet. The primordial dark pulsed, vast and patient, but for a fleeting moment, it seemed to hesitate. Despite Kai's sacrifice, the primordial dark now reached Cloud Peak, a chilling abyss at the world's edge. Ancient stones, once steadfast, turned to dust and faded into nothingness, erasing millennia of history. Even the old camphor tree, their anchor for countless adventures, flickered at the edges of its existence. This was it. The unmaking was absolute, and Tenzin felt a chilling despair he had never known before. Tenzin remembered his ancestors' battles and his own struggles. All force had failed against the world frayed at its edges, dissolving into nothingness, stars vanished, mountains ceased to exist. Deep in the thread Nexus, Kai fought to hold the center, his small form straining against the encroaching oblivion. At the world's dissolving borders, Kira's silver barriers shimmered, guiding the relentless flow of entropy, buying precious time. At Cloud Peak, Tenzin gathered his allies, preparing for the impossible, weaving the world's last, desperate hope. The Voidwalker remnant, its pain transformed into a desperate yearning for existence, added its voice to the tapestry of life. Around Tenzin, 22 golden spirits, his past incarnations, appeared, lending their ancient strength one final time. Elder Marina, on her magnificent whale spirit, channeled her fierce wisdom and love from the turbulent ocean depths. Master Pema, mighty but terrified of a scurrying mouse, added his booming warrior spirit to the grand weaving, a moment of unexpected humor amidst the crisis. Master Dorj, the steadfast anchor of Cloud Peak, pushed his ancient wisdom and strength into the burgeoning harmony. Every ordinary human, every spirit creature, lent their hope, fear, joy, and sorrow to the grand tapestry of existence. Tenzin stood at the center, not as a warrior, but as a weaver, holding creation and entropy in the same powerful embrace. The primordial dark did not disappear, it integrated, becoming part of the natural cycle of all things, not an enemy but an aspect of existence. The sky exploded with light, not golden, not silver, but all colors simultaneously, a breathtaking rainbow shockwave across the world. The barrier between worlds transformed permanently, becoming a living membrane that breathed with the rhythm of existence. Spirits and physical beings looked at each other across the new membrane, seeing clearly for the first time in millennia. Tenzin, exhausted but radiating profound peace, opened his eyes to a world reborn and harmonized. Suki, the spirit fox, nuzzled his hand, her blue and gold eyes gleaming with quiet triumph and deep understanding. Master Dorj approached, his wise face etched with awe and ancient pride for his mischievous young monk. The world was no longer fractured, but a grand harmony of all existence, creation, and inevitable change. The world was saved, and gloriously transformed. The barrier between realms was now a permeable membrane, allowing spirit and physical to coexist in harmony. Harmonized zones expanded across the world, now tended by Kira's Silver Path monks, ensuring the delicate balance remained. Back at Cloud Peak, Tenzin and Kira waited, hearts pounding, for the return of their quiet, worried friend. Kai returned from the Thread Nexus, weary but carrying a deep, quiet wisdom only he could possess. Tenzin rushed forward, embracing his best friend in a hug that spoke volumes of their journey, a bond forged across realms. Soon after, Kira visited Cloud Peak, her new silver-white robes a testament to Iron Peak's redemption, bearing gifts of freshly made rice cakes. Master Dorge resumed his duties, his wisdom now amplified by translucent spirit mentors who joined him in the meditation hall. Master Pema visited, his booming laugh filling the monastery. He was still the loudest monk, and still terrified of mice. Elder Marina sent her regards via the magnificent sea dragon, who occasionally surfaced in the clouds around Cloud Peak, its ancient eyes gentle. The monastery bell rang, calling for meditation. Tenzin groaned, Kai laughed, reminding them some things never truly change. Later, Tenzin, Kai, Kira, and Suki sat under their old camphor tree, sharing stolen rice cakes, just as they always had. Then, at the monastery's edge, the golden-eyed monk appeared one final time, looking at Tenzin with ancient wisdom. He simply nodded, smiled, then faded into golden light, merging with the harmonized world, becoming one with everything. Tenzin finished his rice cake, wiped his hands on his still crooked sash, and asked, "So, what do we do now?" Kai, ever practical, suggested meditation. Tenzin let out a resounding UGH. Suki yawned contentedly. But Tenzin's mischievous eyes, now also carrying the wisdom of ages, gazed at the harmonized world, sensing a new, subtle ripple. The world was whole, but balance was not a destination. It was a continuous, mischievous journey, and Tenzin, the great monk, was ready.